Recount is valid for appointments booked by Christmas. Visit discovervision.com to schedule or call 816-283-EYES and mention code Christmas20.
This season, tailgate with Andy's Pick 6.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a Pick 6 or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game and tell him Mitch and Andy sent you.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Join 610 Sports Radio for our second annual Playoff Pilsner Beer Release Party on Friday, January 13th, starting at 6 at Cinder Block Brewery in North Kansas City, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
All right, here we go. It is Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. Nick has left the country.
He's gone. That's our normal intro music that plays, but sometimes Nick does like an intro.
Mm-hmm. He's gone, though.
The only thing I mentioned to Nick that I would do for the intro is we would get to the bottom of whether you guys are really my dogs. Because apparently I'm supposed to ask, where my dogs at?
That's right. That is something that Nick did for a couple weeks. It just, shockingly, Jed, it never caught on.
It never stuck.
It never caught on.
Wait, why is that?
I know. I don't know why, but it never really caught on. As you guys can hear, Jed Marshall in for Nick Schwartz. He'll be producing for us for the next, 8 shows or so as Nick is in Germany, making his way over to Germany, and he'll be back a little bit after
Just don't listen.
that. I have no idea what that is.
Why must you be hard-headed?
You don't get this.
Do you?
I'm so confused.
I'm very
at first.
confused.
Where my dogs at?
Oh, man.
Bark for me, guys.
I'm not going to do that. There's no way. We told Nick we wouldn't do it.
Not going to happen, man.
Like weeks and weeks and weeks, he tried to get us to come into the station and try to get us to say it, and I told him I wouldn't do it. So that's just simply not going to happen.
Cody, bark.
No. It's just this part too. Oh God. A perfect start to win. Nick has decided
DMX,
to do.
little DMX. Thank you, Jed. It is a Wednesday edition of the show. We'll get to last night, our toy drive. Really appreciate everybody that came out to that. A couple funny moments that I think need to be revisited from last night's toy drive and working with Jefferson's and North KC and also the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Kansas City as well. Last night, though, while we were doing that, there was also one of many listening tours that the Royals are having throughout the Kansas City area in regards to the downtown stadium project, this idea of a ballpark district, the stadium, and, of course, retail and residential, among other projects that would be associated with this stadium downtown, near downtown, right? They're considering multiple sites. And last night they held a community event in the Westport area, and this will be one of many that they do over the next months, months ahead. And a couple quick things that we did learn last night from that. So the earliest a vote for this thing, because we know there's going to be a public financing component to this, public-private partnership is how they're phrasing it. The earliest the vote could occur is August 2023. So August of next year, that's the earliest that those in Jackson County, those on the Missouri side, would be able to make a vote and have a decision made on the public financing portion of this. I thought there were a couple really interesting things that came out of it. Because I think we all know, as multiple times that we've talked about this stadium project, long before it was kind of like official from the team, go back a year or so ago, even 2 years. I mean, this is not something that came up all of a sudden overnight, was the pushback not only on the public financing option, but also the notion that what this baseball team has been over the last 6+ years, which is not a really competitive baseball team, not a strong product out on the baseball field. And one of the questions, in fact, it was the first question that was asked last night to John Sherman, owner of the Royals, was, why does a perpetual last place team deserve a new stadium? Which I think is a fair question, right? The answer he gave was, when the time is right, youth develops, we'll invest very heavily in team on the field, and that whatever revenue comes from the new endeavor goes into the team. The prior ownership group did that in 2014 and 2015 when they were in a position to win. This is, of course, is a different ownership group. They haven't been in the position to have that actually be on the table for them directly? Because we know that was a huge knock on the prior ownership group, right? For many years, it was, right, hey, they're not going to spend money, right, Cody? On the Glass family, they're not going to spend money, not going to spend money. And then in 2014, once they made the run that they did, they went out and spent money. They had, I think, the 13th, 14th, 15th highest payroll in baseball at that time. You're banking and trusting that this ownership group is willing to do the same when that time is right.
But the frustration is you're asking, like, can't I wait till the time is right? Why do I, like, this is a fair question being asked by fans. Why do I have to give you money now when the time is definitively not right? The team stinks. They haven't won in years. So, but now you want the money now, right? And we're asking you to invest money in the team now when they've struggled and haven't been good. What's the difference? Last year, they had the 24th ranked payroll. They currently have the 25th ranked payroll, depending on who else they may or may not sign. I know John Sherman was hinting at the possibility of this. Mm-hmm. Like, I've made it very clear on the stance of public funding. So let's just take that part of this equation off of it. We understand why it seems this. But the problem is some of this last night to me came off as a little bit of like, oh, come on, guys, I'm totally going to take care of you when this is the case. And there have been long-term studies done. What he is saying, either he is going to do the one thing no owner in any professional sport has ever done, or it's going to go the way it normally does. The biggest problem I have with what came out of last night is this notion that is if you make us more valuable, we will take that value and we will directly invest all of that value right into the baseball team. That has, and let me be very clear, never happened in the history of sport. Nobody has ever increased their value by $100 million and then just stuck that $100 million directly into the baseball team, directly into a football team or a basketball team. So when you say that, it's hard to believe. The things I don't think you should fight on this is the fact that the team would go downtown, the fact that it would cost a lot of money to improve Kauffman Stadium. I believe those things to be true. I think being in downtown can be important. Like, even if you want to be like, oh, how many seats they're going to use, I told you I'd be fine with a smaller stadium. I don't have a big issue with the fact that, or I'm not surprised by the fact that they're going to do something in the 30,000s. But also don't try to like sugarcoat things to me that aren't necessarily true. I'm glad that he was committed to Kansas City, Missouri. I'm glad that they're committed to stay in Missouri and all of those things. But there are certain parts of this that just aren't true. You want to spend money and spend your money when the team is good, but it's hard because you're asking us to spend our money when the team is bad.
Right. I mean, so the quote that I think had everybody reacting, kind of what you were phrasing there, which has to do with this whole idea of like, you're just supposed to trust us, was from John Sherman, where he was asked why taxpayers should foot part of the bill. Quote, "We are asking we do this together. You will hold us accountable to deliver benefits on your behalf. We will be beside you with a very significant investment." One, we're still so early in the process. We don't know what that dollar amount is going to be. We know the cost of the stadium is going to be $1 billion.
They're still being pretty vague about it.
We don't know how much is going to come from the public side and how much is the ownership group actually going to pony up. That is a dollar amount that nobody, at least publicly, has at this point in time. But yeah, I mean, you're banking on a whole lot of trust and the notion that, well, you guys can hold us accountable as an organization. I would ask, though, what are the consequences towards them if they don't deliver the benefits? And
they
the answer,
have no downside.
The answer is that there is none. And we know, unfortunately, there's plenty of examples of usually how these go. The Royals are not the first organization to ask for public money. We'll be the last to ask for public money.
The Chiefs will be right behind them.
The Chiefs very quickly, right after. I'm going to go ahead and guess, whether it is a renovated Arrowhead, whether it's a new Arrowhead, whether it's them trying to jump over to Kansas, whatever it may be. The good news, as you said, though, from the Royals front, is last night there was a question at the very end of the meeting that was asking John Sherman, can he promise that the Royals will not be leaving Kansas City, Missouri? And he said, we can do that. I think we all expected that to be the case, more so on the Royals. Like, the Royals wasn't concerning as much that they would leave for Kansas. That's more of a question that'll come up on the Chiefs' end of things.
I think so.
I think for the Royals, we all understood that no matter how this project ends up going, that they're going to stay on the Missouri side. So that was nice, I think, for everybody to hear. But that probably wasn't as real of a threat maybe as what it is going to be for the Chiefs.
Just some of it don't buy into. It's okay to have certain objections to it for a variety of reasons. I'm still fine. Like, I'm excited about the possibility of a downtown stadium. You and I have said, I just want him to pay for it. Okay, I understand it's probably not going to go like that. But also don't buy into this. Lie is probably strong. I don't know. Maybe that's the word. It's hard because you're just like, I don't want to call someone straight up a liar. That seems unfair. Or at least having that conversation seems unfair. But when you say like, hey, we buy them this new stadium, it's going to help them generate revenue, and then they're going to be able to afford more things on the field. That's not true. That's just not how this works. This is not how professional sports teams work. They have never worked that way. They will tell you that. That's not how it works. Plenty of teams can afford to spend more now, but they're a business, right? So they choose to spend less in the times in which they're good, and they choose to spend more in the times in which they're good. You could just spend more across the board because it's not just us from the outside. People across baseball are confused by what the Padres are doing. They're like, how is it that you can afford $200-300 million contracts over and over and over again for the size of market that you're in? It's a choice thing. Sherman has chosen at this point to keep the payroll relatively low. He bought the team in the middle of a pandemic year. It's a weird time to start it. But I also don't have to believe that, if we just buy him the stadium, then the Royals will be good again. That's not the way it's going to work. And I understand why fans are like, hey, if you'd asked this in 2015 or 16, people have been ready to roll, right? No problem. It's just a weird time to be asking because you spent the last 4 years losing an average of 95 games a year.
Look, I think the tours that they're doing, of course, in trying to get public input, right, which in letting people voice their opinions and concerns, valid concerns about the project, I think the reality is I think we still know what the end result is. No matter
the stadium will be downtown, and it will be publicly funded.
There will be a new stadium near or downtown in Kansas City, Missouri for the Kansas City Royals, and that is something I think you and I both feel very confident. Everybody should feel confident saying, and it does. Like, you may have plenty of disagreements with how it goes about happening and where the public financing piece comes to play, but by 2028 they will be playing downtown baseball.
I agree. I just wonder.
Don't you?
Yes, but it's but I also don't think it's unfair to see some of the questions or any of the other things that come up, right, through city infrastructure or the other things like, hey, why can't we just improve public transit, or why can't we fix that? There are other problems city has. There's always more money that needs to be spent elsewhere. But major metropolitan areas, this is one of the things they also deal with. New airports, new stadiums. Those new stadiums, leave how big of business sports are, Gold. New stadiums are a part of a big city's infrastructure plan. Like, a long-term plan for a city includes these type of projects. I know we don't want to. We would prefer that they were funded privately, and they could be paid for privately, but it's just not the system as it's currently constructed. My problem is they always try to pretend like you're doing me a big favor, and you're like, you're not. I'm doing you the big favor. Just say it. You're going to be doing me a huge favor. Like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It will bring some jobs. We've all seen the before and after photos of downtown San Diego before they built the stadium and after they built the stadium. It can increase a city's downtown. It can bring development. It can move a city forward. All of those things are not necessarily true. But there's still way more benefit for you than us.
Yeah, I think we all recognize that.
It's a hard thing to say. I get it.
And I don't dispute what you're saying there at all. I'm pro downtown stadium. You and I have gone back and forth on this for a couple of years, as a matter of fact. And obviously I live on the Kansas side. You're someone, you still live in Jackson County, right?
Clay now.
Okay, so you're not even in Jackson County.
So I've paid for stadium stuff for a long time, and now I'm in Clay.
So I'm on the Kansas side. I've told you I think the idea of a downtown ballpark I think is fantastic. It doesn't mean that I dispute any of the concerns that people have and the idea and how it is set up in this country with publicly financed stadiums, other than the Golden State Warriors and their new Chase Arena out there, which was privately funded. 99% of these stadiums, unfortunately, are publicly financed. That's just the way that the kind of the system is set up.
But from
for this city, though, I love the idea of it. You mentioned what it's done for downtown San Diego, what it's done for go through multiple major metropolitan areas. There's a lot of people that were against the new airport project. A lot of people that are against any type of change whatsoever. There's a lot of things like that. Like, if you want to move the city forward, I do believe that a downtown stadium helps this city in that regard. Do I think that the public should fit the majority of the bill? Of course not. But I think we unfortunately do know the reality of how this stuff usually goes. And I do agree with you on the idea of the renovation aspect, which is, all right, well, why not just stay out of Kauffman Stadium and renovate? I do believe the number that was thrown out last night from Populous, which is that it would cost as much to upgrade and renovate Kauffman, about $1 billion, as it would be to build a new ballpark, given the age and the way the stadium was built back in the 70s. Same thing applies, by the way, for Arrowhead. There'll be a very similar conversation we'll be having as soon as the Royals stuff is cleared away. Then the Chiefs will move forward, and we'll see how that all goes. I still think, and we know the timeline's not going to set up this way because the earliest the vote's going to occur, looks like, is August 2023. I still think from the public perception, you mentioned winning team versus losing team. We know the Chiefs are a winning football team right now and will be for a while. I still think if they wanted to make it a little bit easier on themselves in that regard, they would just bundle the vote together, the projects together, which they did back in the renovation.
You know what it is, though, is that that's causing problems now, though. We talked about this.
Yeah.
From like a city getting better standpoint. Part of this is it's like we just paid for the airport and now this stadium and then a couple of years later the other one. Like bundling them together was a good idea at the time. And from a Royals perspective, from a vote, but I think they'll get the vote either way. So I just do.
Yeah.
I think they'll get the voting majority because they always get the voting majority because that's how these projects work. And you're right. From just a city perspective, I love it. I love I love the K. We've talked about this, why I love the K. I'd be fine if it was the K forever. But downtown baseball is cool. I think that they're going to build an awesome stadium down there. I think it'll be a great time to go to. Centrally located is good. The public transit in the city has improved in that amount of time and could get better during that time. It's always like when you go to these forums, some of the phrasing on it always makes it seem like they're doing you a big favor. You're like, that's not exactly how this is working here, because like you've said, on one end, there is zero risk, none at all. Like you just build this stadium, the thing you own is worth way more money. You now have these buildings to earn even more money. And as much as it is nice to say, hey, all this extra money, like if you knew for a fact that every extra dollar in revenue they earn from the baseball development project, like the baseball village and the stadium, and they guaranteed you 100%, showed you the books, open it up, cracked open QuickBooks and said, look, here we go. I know that the Royals are far too big of a company to use QuickBooks, although recently in the news, maybe not so much. They, crack open QuickBooks. They're like, all right, here's every extra penny we earn because of this cool stadium thing. We're going to put that directly into the payroll. We're going to just buy players. Problem solved, everybody. That be it. Because you know what it is? If he had, to this point, he has not made one significant investment in the roster. Pay one person money and show me you're serious. And by the way, this doesn't mean like Correa. This doesn't have to be a free agent. Pay Vinny. Pay Bobby Wood Jr. Pay Brady Singer. Pay one person a significant contract. A sign of good faith.
I get what you're saying. I mean, in fairness, he was the owner when they gave the extension to Salvador Perez for 4 years and $82 million. If we're being fair, that occurred on his watch.
Was that his first year?
2021, right? 4-year contract extension with Salvi was in 2021. So that occurred on his watch. So I think if we're going to point out dollars and what hasn't been spent, that was spent under his watch.
Fair enough. But just like, but it doesn't, I guess now that feels so long ago. But it's in the amount of time he's been the owner. You're right. He has made one significant investment. I just prove a little bit, right? Just prove a little bit that you're as committed to this as you say you are. And it's hard right now because the team hasn't been good, and I understand why people don't end up investing in bad baseball teams because it's been a successful model to not do that. It's just hard because baseball owners convince you that losing is the best way to go forward when other organizations have proven that doesn't have to be the case.
This will be the first of many of these listening tours, listening events that the Royals are having across the Kansas City, Missouri area. And I imagine as each one goes forward, we'll probably learn new details. Last night was about, when it could go to a vote, was about the sizing of the stadium, capacity. And, of course, more questions will come. Maybe at future events, members of the media will be allowed to ask questions. We'll see. Last night, that was not the case. Maybe that'll change as these events continue. Let's talk some Chiefs football, though. Don't worry, we're not going to talk about their opponent. It's the Houston Texans on Sunday, who now look like they will not have their starting running back, Dameon Pierce, is going to be out a couple weeks with a high ankle sprain. So they're down.
So their best player is now gone?
Yeah, Brandon Cooks, I think, is still going to play. So, yeah, they're definitely their second best offensive weapon for sure. Not going to play in that game. But what I think is interesting is all the discussion about the defense this week for the Chiefs, and that is, can the defense do anything the rest of the way to get you to kind of buy back in? Because we were looking at the schedule, and we all know it's the Texans, the Broncos one more time, Seattle maybe a playoff team, and then the Raiders, not a playoff team. So one potential playoff team remaining here in the final 4 games. So
Seattle's playing their worst football of the year,
They
too.
are right now, no question. A couple losses. They just lost to the Carolina Panthers, and they trailed that entire game against Carolina, as a matter of fact. So I think because of the schedule, there's no way I'm going to go into the playoffs and feel confident about the defense to the point where they could have put, I think, everybody's mind at ease a little bit. But I do think when they play the Broncos again, for example, a team that's where the frustration level has risen again, because it was the Denver Broncos that did what they did against the Chiefs defense. I think if they were to perform well against the Texans, the Broncos, and really all 4 teams at a decent level the rest of the way, it'll at least calm the waters a little bit. But I don't think you're going to believe that's good enough to get it done against Cincy, against Buffalo, against Miami, until they actually do it against those teams. Because when we've seen them struggle against Cincinnati, we just saw them struggle against the Broncos. I think that got a lot of people thinking back to some of the other years where this team has been bounced from the playoffs and the defensive struggles. So I really think it will require them, playing well to stabilize the ship, if you will, before the playoffs defensively. But nobody's going to believe it until that first playoff game, Cody, where the defense steps up.
There's 2 things that I think could occur that could at least reinvigorate my thought, that is, they're good enough to win a championship defense. I never, and I don't think at any point this year we ever thought, wow, this defense, as young as they are, was going to turn into a great defense this season. Not that they never had any hope of doing that, but that it was going to happen now. There's 2 things they can do the rest of the way. One, I can see their rookie corners play significantly better. This is the smaller part of the equation. See Joshua Williams, see Jalen Watson, see those guys get beat less than they have over the last 2 weeks against these opponents. I understand that because they're not playing murderer's row of offenses over the next few weeks, it's going to be hard to be like, wow, I'm just bought back in. They're not playing all those tough wide receivers. But if they keep getting beat, I'm going to feel so much worse. The most important thing actually happened in this last game. You want to spend these next 4 games proving you can get turnovers, then we can have a different conversation going into the postseason. You have been as bad as any team in the NFL is taking the ball away. You want to prove to me that these 2 turnovers you got in this last game, and honest to God, 4 or 5 they could have had in the game? On the play, I went back and watched on the replay of the 2nd and 34. Thornhill's supposed to pick that. He's standing right in front of the ball. He just can't make a ball. He couldn't make a play on the ball. And Trent McDuffie got dotted between the eyes on one. So there were.
No, that was like the second play of the game.
Sure, but they had multiple they already got a couple of turnovers. They had multiple other opportunities to create turnovers. If they want to reinvigorate the belief that the defense can do the things needed in the postseason to do it, to me, they want to start getting turnovers. Long. They're still 4th in the NFL in sacks. They still have good rookie corners, I think, who can show improvement even from now till the beginning of the postseason run. I understand they have limitations, but from where we were at the beginning part of the season and believing that they could grow, I could still get there if they want to start getting turnovers, because then at least they're in the habit of getting them before. They go back over these next 4 games, get the ball 1 time in 4 games, then I'm going to be feeling about the same as I do right now.
Don't you think, though, because of the opponent, it's going to be awfully tough for people to buy into that? It's good. Like the defense themselves, the players individually, they probably need that just to.
But they weren't turning it over against anybody. To me, the opponent doesn't matter in that stat.
Just for turnovers, you're fine, even if it's picking off.
I don't care if it's
Kyle Allen,
correct,
or Davis Mills, or the random formation where they'll bring in Jeff Driscoll and he fumbles the football because I don't know why the hell he's playing for the Texans.
Did you watch the Texans game last week?
I did a little bit, yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Well, they were up on the Cowboys. It was actually interesting. The Cowboys almost got upset. I did watch a lot of that. Jeff Driscoll just got added to the active roster. He was on the practice squad, and they called him up for that game. He played a lot. They got the fourth and goal stop or whatever it was Jeff Driscoll running the football. He ran the wrong way on the play. That's why the Cowboys got the stop.
Maybe don't let the practice squad quarterback come in for important.
He was somewhat effective in they had 3 different quarterbacks playing that game, I think.
If you're trying to make sure you get the number 1 overall pick, definitely let the practice squad quarterback do that.
And then looking at it now, it's not even just Pierce. Looks like Brandon Cooks is questionable or unlikely to play too, so they're not going to have their 2 best weapons, it looks like, against the Chiefs. So,
well, I'm right back to the same thing. Blow this team out. Just bury them, please.
Chiefs are 14-point favorites against the Houston Texans on Sunday.
How often do teams that are more than 2 touchdown favorites cover? That is so many points in the NFL.
Give me some time. I can get you an answer on that at some point, yeah.
That happens in college all the time, 2 touchdown favorites. In the NFL, there are probably, 6 or 7 times a year that someone is a 14-plus point favorite? That's a big number.
This past week, I don't remember. The Cowboys obviously did not cover against the Texans this past week, and they were what 16-plus point favorites, I think it was, against the Texans this past week. And the Cowboys, of course, needed a game-winning touchdown to win the game at the end.
I think the Texans blew it on purpose. I really do. Convinced.
They're almost at a point, though, pretty soon where they're digging themselves enough of a hole where they almost could win a game and still be fine. Like, they're getting to that point in time.
They're so bad that they're
not like fully there, but
I
think they have a game buffer already.
Yeah.
In terms of the top pick in the NFL draft. All right, coming up next, we'll talk some more Chiefs football. We haven't maybe seen the best of the Chiefs in one particular area, and it's not the defense, I promise. Plus, our toy drive last night, there was one moment that happened that has to be discussed next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gant Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gant Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Subscribe and download all new episodes of Nick's Wavin' in the Wheat podcast, released every Thursday on the 435 Podcast Network and the Odyssey app.
If you are a local business owner, it's probably been a bumpy ride from pandemic to inflation. Did you know that if your business has 5 or more employees and managed to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee? Not a lot of people know about this. It isn't a loan. There's no payback. It's a refund of your taxes. The challenge is getting your hands on it. How do you cut through the red tape? Get your business the refund money? Well, go to getrefunds.com. That's getrefunds.com. The team of tax attorneys they've put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program and have already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you as well. They do all the work, no charges up front. You simply share a percentage of the cash they get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, even those that had increases in sales. To find out if your business qualifies, just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. That's getrefunds.com.
Your love isn't confined to an advent calendar. It doesn't stop when the Christmas lights come down. With the Salvation Army, your love lasts all year long. It puts a present under someone's tree today and a roof over someone's head tomorrow. It brightens Christmas morning and the hardest nights for hardworking families. Together, we love beyond Christmas. Give $25 a month to support Kansas City families all year long at lovebeyondkc.org.
A famous economist once said, "There's no such thing as a free lunch." And as a jeweler and a small business owner for over 25 years, I can absolutely say when it comes to jewelry, there's no such thing as free financing. This is Gene at House of Diamonds. You ever wonder why some jewelry stores seem to spend more time talking about financing than they talk about their jewelry? Well, maybe their credit app is the most exciting thing in the store. What they're not simply factor those finance charges into the price of their jewelry. We don't play those games at House of Diamonds. We're a local, family-owned store. We live here. We shop here. We go to church, school, and our kids play sports here. We've been in the same Overland Park location since 1995, growing our customer family through trust. And I'd really love the chance to show you how. House of Diamonds on the southeast corner of College and Quivira.
Stocking stuffers, stocking stuffers. What can I get as stocking stuffers?
Hi, may I help you?
That's it, Gates Barbecue. I'll purchase Gates gift cards online at gatesbbq.com for my stocking stuffers. Everyone will get to enjoy their sauces, seasonings, and Gates logo ball caps, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and hoodies. This will be their favorite stocking stuffer. My holiday shopping is complete. Gates Barbecue, wishing you and yours a warm and safe holiday season.
We'll kick off Week 15 of the NFL season right with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app, and same-game parlay insurance. It doesn't matter if you're new to the app or if you already have an account. You can get free bets back if your 4-leg Thursday night same-game parlay falls one leg short. NFL same-game parlays are a perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at an even bigger payout. So I'm going to take the Niners to win this game in a close divisional matchup against Seattle. I'll take the over on Geno Smith passing yards. You know what? I'll take Debo Smith and an anytime touchdown. So build your own same-game parlay or choose from one of the popular pre-built ones right there on the app. However you want to play, make sure you're betting with FanDuel this Thursday night. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL.
21 and present in Kansas. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 7 days after receipt. Max free bet ranging from $5 to $100. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold. Each day from noon till 1 on 610 Sports Radio. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. 610 Sports Radio.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world, turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
This winter, there are COVID-19 booster shots designed to help protect against recent Omicron variants. If it's been at least 2 months since your primary series or original booster, schedule your updated COVID-19 booster dose at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Hi, I'm your unused PTO. It's almost the end of the year, and if you don't put me on a timesheet, I will be gone forever. Use me or lose me. Let's get away.
It's getaway time. Get our best deals of the season on a new Hyundai. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now get 0% APR, 0 payments for 90 days, and $500 bonus cash on select vehicles. Hurry to your local Hyundai dealer now during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Offer ends 1/3/23. Call 1-562-314-4603 for complete offer details.
The Odyssey app is your go-to for Christmas music.
Celebrate the season with Odyssey, because there's a station for every Christmas vibe.
Listen to artist-hosted stations from Michael Bublé, the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Train, and more.
Just download the free Odyssey app, search for holiday stations, and go.
Christmas music for driving, shopping, or just unwinding.
It's all on the Odyssey app.
That's AUDACY.
Odyssey.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric is proud to install Generac generators. When you purchase a new Generac home standby generator, receive a 10-year warranty for free, plus financing to fit your needs. From Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
Just getting started here on a Wednesday. It is Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. Jed Marshall in for the next week and a half or so. That means no Nick's notable notes today. Jed Talks coming up in about 15 minutes or so. Also later on today, Josh Klingler, of course, Chiefs sideline reporter, host of Fesco in the Morning. He'll join us coming up at 12:30. We'll talk Chiefs with Kling. I also want to get Kling's thoughts on just the downtown stadium project and the ballpark district, and of course these events that are going on in Kansas City to discuss publicly the options, the financing, the locations, and all that as more and more details start to come out in regards to that. But last night, I want to thank everybody that came out to Jefferson's in North Kansas City. We had our second annual Cody and Gold toy drive benefiting the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Kansas City. So thanks so much to everybody that stopped by, dropped off some toys, had some drinks, had some great food. We appreciate Jefferson's for hosting us, and we'll, of course, plan on doing this again next year. Cody was dressed up as Santa.
The whole 3 hours. It was hot.
You were sweating a little bit. You were your hair hot. When you took off the Santa hat,
matted down to the top.
Yeah, man, I had not seen your hair like that before. But there was a funny moment or two. A couple people, listeners, brought their kids. Of course, that's what we wanted as well. And there was one moment where your kids were there as well. Yeah, which I thought this whole sequence was pretty funny. This was hilarious.
Well, I guess I hadn't considered the fact that this would be a problem, but so this kid Landon was very excited. Called me Santa the whole time. Hey, Santa, this is the toy I want. Hey, Santa, let me show you that I can do a backflip. Hey, Santa, let me show you. Like, he was very excited. Like, hey, Santa, I'm going to show you all this stuff. And he's like, hey, like, this is great. He was very into it, had a million questions. We talked the whole time. And then my kid showed up. And in the middle of all this, he's called me Santa like 4 or 5 times in front of my kid. And Ruby looked him dead in the eye and said, "Hey, that's not Santa. That's my dad." And you're like, why? Why ruin it for this kid? He's just out here trying to live his life thinking I'm Santa, and she's just like, look, that guy, that's not Santa.
I feel like Ruby was in the right.
I mean, she's not wrong, but it was hilarious.
Why is she in the right, Jed?
Well, because we know that you're not the real Santa. Obviously, you're just Cody Tapp. You're not Santa. So the fact that trying to perpetuate lies upon a young, innocent, impressionable kid out at a toy drive, I think that your daughter was right.
He later asked if I was the real Santa. I said, no, I'm just helping Santa out. He's very busy this time of year.
Good answer. Yeah.
Needs people to help get other toys for other kids.
So you at least were forthright in admitting that you were not the real Santa.
Cody was not wearing a beard either. So I mean, it was like this Santa with glasses and no beard.
And the suits are all our suit is so big. It's like 5 sizes too big on everybody.
Why didn't you keep the beard going, Cody?
Well,
nobody would have seen it anyway. It wouldn't have.
In person, you could see it, just not on the camera.
I don't think they would have noticed it. You would have scared the kids off. What are you talking about?
They'd be like, you're just creepy drunk Santa.
Yeah, that's definitely molester style.
Yeah, that's what that beard or whatever it was. But that was hilarious. That's my dad. That's not Santa. So we appreciate.
But thank you for coming out and donating.
Yeah, we had a
toys.
ton of
Awesome.
fun, and I know the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Kansas City, one of the representatives, stopped by there. They were very happy and with everybody's donations for some kids in the Kansas City area. And again, thanks to Jefferson's, because I know they donated a portion of some of the proceeds as well, and wrote a check to the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Kansas City. So thanks to everybody that was part of that. We'll continue to try to build this thing up bigger next year for the 3rd annual Cody and Gold Toy Drive. Let's get back to the Chiefs a little bit, though, because we talked about the defense there. You still think we haven't seen the best of the offense, which is interesting because this offense, as we know, has been the best offense or the second best offense for a majority of this season.
So here's it. I understand that they're the number one offense or have been for a large portion of the season. I still don't think we've seen the best version. This goes back a little bit to what Nick was pointing out on this the other day, which is fairly simple. Nick had said, hey, the problem why we get stuck on the offense is it always feels like they're leaving points on the table. There's mistakes, and it feels like there's so much more available to this team that they leave. Why can't we see them just do that once? And then I started to realize that a full complement, the Pacheco-McKinnon running back duo with Juju and Tony and McCole and Kelsey, we have not seen on the field together yet. We have not seen the version of the offense the Chiefs want to put on the field together, all together, at the same time once. And I know that some of this is not like what the Chargers are going through, where just Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler just haven't been available at the same time. They didn't have Tony for a chunk of the season. And then when Tony got here, he got hurt pretty quick. And then Juju Smith-Schuster missed a game. And then I thought, needed a few weeks to recover from that. They waited till Clyde was hurt before they tried to really settle into the Pacheco-McKinnon version of things. I don't think we've seen the best version of the offense, which is probably a great thing if you're a Chiefs fan right now, because I think when they put that full complement together, it will finally put together the actual plan. Here's everything we can throw at you all at once. And I think to a point, if they can all be on the field together, they're kind of unstoppable.
So it makes them more unpredictable, right? That's what it does. I mean, we've seen, it's weird for me to say, they become more explosive because, again, they're already
the number one 20-plus play offense in the NFL.
So that's my only thing. We have not seen the full complement, which is exciting. I just think it makes them more unpredictable. And that is also a huge positive, of course, come playoff time. If they have a sequence where they're able to have Tony and Hardman on the field the same time as Kelsey and Juju Smith-Schuster, along with now Isaiah Pacheco, who's playing fantastic. That's what makes it more dangerous per se. But
sure,
the stats, it's hard to think that they can. They're already where they're at.
I think there is more though. I think there's more than 29 points per game. I think there is a 32, 33, 34 point per game offense consistently there.
Based on what we've talked about the defense, there's a chance maybe that's what they're going to have come playoff time. If the concerns are valid with this defense against teams like Cincinnati, against teams like Buffalo,
you might just have to get in a straight up shootout.
That might be the case. Now, the only thing I will say, just because the NFL usually works this way, the chances that there's not another injury, that there's not another injury come
Before the
playoff
playoffs?
time with somebody involved in this offense is probably pretty slim. It's not often that most teams go into the playoffs fully healthy and then make it through a 2 or 3 game stretch. So
I also think this is why they've been slow. This is why they put McCall in IR. This is why they've been slow with Tony.
Yeah.
I think they are trying to do what you're saying doesn't normally happen.
Yeah, I would love. I mean, maybe if let's say if they're playing wild card weekend, hopefully they get a bye and they don't have to play till divisional round weekend, and then they get the extra week in between, and hopefully at least for one of these games they got the full complement. But there's a chance that somebody will be missing in the divisional round or the AFC title game or the Super Bowl. Like it's just you don't want that to happen. It just usually isn't the case. The good news is they've shown that they can have a number 1, number 2 offense, even if they are missing one of these guys. But I think in the red zone in particular, with McCall Hardman, that is still the biggest boost that they can get to this offense. McCall Hardman, what he brings to the red zone offense, some of the, the talk of red zone struggles, is it real or not? McCall Hardman, to me, solves a lot of that. And we know he's eligible to come off of IR this week. We'll hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes coming up around 11:45, and I'm sure he'll be asked, Andy will, about where McCall was at, because if you go back to last week's comments from Andy, he had mentioned that there's a chance, this was last Wednesday, there's a chance that McCall could practice this week. So we'll find out, is he practicing? Will he practice this week? I don't expect him to play on Sunday against the Texans, but getting him back at practice would be huge. And then Tony's hamstring, it's another week. Maybe they can get Tony back this week, get them both back for next week's game against Seattle. That's kind of what I would hope to see over the next 2 weeks.
I do agree with the sentiment that Nate Taylor, if you missed that interview, it's obviously up at 610sports.com. He's great every single week. But when he had mentioned Tony, because we're like, I don't know, man, they love slow playing. He's like, normally, yeah, but don't you want to know if you can trust Tony? Like, I know we had that flash in the pan. It was like, oh, that was fun. Look at Kadarius Toney go. He's having as good of a game as he's ever had, and then he was hurt. But there is some truth to we know what McCall Hardman offers. If he can't play this week, it's all right. We know what he does. We know what he does well for this team. Andy's got him figured out. He's got a relationship with Mahomes. They've played together. We understand how it is he operates inside this offense. With Tony, we've seen the flashes of how it could operate, but we don't know how it really does operate yet.
Well,
so, the idea of getting him back on the field before the postseason with 4 weeks to go, a month is a plenty of time to get up to speed. I do kind of hope that maybe they get him back on the field sooner.
And with Tony, it's this year, yes, but it's also trying to get some questions answered for next year, knowing that right now under contract, it's Tony, it's Sky Moore, and it's MVS. I mean, that's, if you want to go further down, Justin Ross, whatever. But really, we're talking about those 3 guys, right?
He's not going to make the roster.
I'm with you. I mean, that we can have fun with that in the offseason if we want. But it's 3 players. And so you need to know, how aggressive do you need to be in those contract negotiations, maybe with Juju? Do you need to go out and
because we know the free agent wide receiver pool stinks.
Yeah, it looks like, as we've talked about multiple times, Juju might be the best available free agent wide receiver in football, unless you buy into the Odell Beckham Jr. stuff, which now reports are that he's not going to sign with anybody. According to Jeremy Fowler, there's a good chance this year and may wait till next offseason. So
Jeremy Fowler's like, he'd be the most coveted free agent wide receiver. And I was like, come on. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, oh my God.
Him and Juju.
We have looked at it'd be him and Juju's 1 and 2.
McCall Hardman would also,
he'd be top 5 or 6.
Yeah, he would. And
we looked at the class, and we're not just saying that to McCall. It's just there are not that many available free agent wide receivers. McCall Hardman is becoming a free agent at the best possible time. Now it's another, shockingly, loaded wide receiver draft class. So I'm sure that they will also be coveted in the first and second rounds of the NFL draft. But still, it's a good year for McCall to be a free agent.
Just to talk more on the red zone stuff for McCall. So we had this stat a couple weeks ago. I pulled it back up. But McCall Hardman led the Chiefs in wide receivers and receiving touchdowns, tied for 3rd in rushing touchdowns with Mahomes, Clyde, and Pacheco. This was before last week. 5 of McCall's 6 touchdowns were scored in the red zone. So that just tells you his value in
Knock
particular.
McCall for whatever you want. His entire NFL career, he's been able to get in the end zone. That is something he is good at. I know that there might be some hey, is there more yardage or better routes or whatever stuff you want to nitpick. He is a good touchdown scorer, especially considering his role in the team. He's a very good touchdown scorer.
We'll get to Jed Talks coming up in just a couple of minutes. But yesterday when we had Nate Taylor in studio, we were talking about the young corners. And the last couple of weeks, maybe the youth has shown up a little bit more as they face some better wide receiver cores. Not this past week, we didn't think that was going to be a problem. Jerry Jeudy had his best game since he was at Alabama.
That's unfortunate.
But we learned a couple things. One, I don't know. I didn't know that Jalen Watson was dealing with that hand injury. It was an interesting point that
it showed up on the injury report, but I didn't realize it was preventing him from getting on the field.
Yeah, Nate brought up a good point, though, like why that might be the case. He mentioned that the hand and the Chiefs, we know, like to be physical, press coverage up right in your face, and that's a struggle when you obviously have a hand injury. And so that's why we've seen Joshua Williams maybe play a little bit more. Now, I don't know if that's the Jalen Watson hand injury that he's just going to have to play with the rest of the season. It kind of feels like maybe that's where we're at this point. Maybe the bye week is good. Maybe an extra week there. I don't know in particular, but that's kind of interesting. Maybe that's why we haven't seen quite as much of Jalen Watson, and we've seen more Joshua Williams, which then prompted you to ask Nate a follow-up, which is like, well, then could they be still using Rashad Fenton if they didn't trade him to the Atlanta Falcons? And at the time, the concern was depth. I think when they traded him, we had a conversation I had brought up. I was like, look, nobody's saying Fenton is great, but veteran depth, I would have still liked to have had him on the roster. I said it at the time. This isn't just something that I'm coming up with today because we're talking about the hand injury for Jalen Watson. That was something at the time I didn't really understand the trade, despite some of the frustration with Fenton maybe in his individual performance.
You know what's funny is I think it was more frustration with Fenton in his team fit. Like I go all the way back to training camp. I think that trade was just as much about trusting the young corners, but also about the fact that Fenton wasn't getting along, man. Go back to training camp when Mahomes was letting him have it. He's like, we're not getting better.
Is
because
that not
you keep
along,
doing
or is
these
that just
same
competitiveness,
things.
you know?
No, but to me, that moment seemed more frustration than you see out of Mahomes in a normal trade. And now knowing that they had later traded him. But I understand the notion that, that what Nate Taylor's bringing up. Because I was like, should they regret moving him? And the reason why, from a play perspective, you should is, the reason why Fenton worked was anytime like Jalen Watson or Joshua Williams, it's just going through one of those games. Like Joshua Williams is just kind of going through one of those games against Denver. He was having one of his worst games as a pro. Judy's beating him up a little bit. He's made a couple penalties, right? Like he's getting beat a little bit. Just give him a break. Give him a second. Let Rashad Fenton handle the workload. Because Joshua Williams only played about half the snaps. Rashad, and then Jalen Watson only played about a third of the snaps.
Is he playing much for Atlanta? Do we even know? Like, is he playing a whole lot for the Falcons right now? I was just curious.
Like if they traded him and he's not even good enough to make it on the Atlanta Falcons defense? He has played in 2 games for Atlanta.
Okay.
So he hasn't played since week 10. So short, and he was playing mostly, he played 100% of the snaps in his final game for Atlanta in week 10. So maybe he's hurt. Not paying enough attention now, but
anyway,
it's not like we're paying too close attention to that. And also, whether he's hurt or not, it doesn't really matter because that to me, if he got hurt for them, doesn't mean he would have been hurt for that. I always hate this notion to be like, well, he's hurt, so it wouldn't have mattered. I'm like, well, that doesn't mean he would have been hurt for you. He could have been healthy for you. Injuries are weird; they happen.
That's funny because we joke about the Robert Quinn thing because I had people in my
mind. Yeah.
Robert Quinn
would have been hurt for you.
Quinn got traded to the Eagles and he's now hurt for the Eagles, and people are like, "See, so you wanted him in Kansas." I'm like, that doesn't mean he would have been hurt when he got to KC.
This is the butterfly effect. He ends up in Kansas City. He might still be healthy. We don't know. That's not how this works. But it feels like they're a corner short. That's pretty much what this Rashad Fenton conversation comes down to. The Chiefs feel one cornerback short, don't they? Like, I like the talent. I like the talent out of Watson and Williams and McDuffie. I like what L'Jarius Sneed does for this team, but they're short. They're short one. I don't know. If they can't get it now, it's too late. They can't solve this problem now. So the simple solution typically is just get more pass rush. Well, they're still ranking near the bottom of the league in passing yards allowed per game, and they have the 4th most sacks. It has not solved their problems defensively.
This is also why when we had a conversation about Spags yesterday, to me, when we talk about the frustrations around that and why I think, anybody calling for his job, one, it's not going to happen. And 2, I don't 100% get it because you just told me right there that you think maybe they're undermanned a little bit. You're dealing with rookies in the secondary. You're dealing with 6 rookies rotating in on a consistent basis defensively. This is always something I think that has to be part of the discussion when we talk about Steve Spagnuolo and his defense as well. All right, let's get to Jed Talks.
Gotta write something down. Nick's notable notes.
I feel like we got to get the record scratch edited in there just for Jed for the next 8 weeks. Like when she starts saying Nick's notable notes.
8 weeks? Wow.
8 shows.
How long is Nick gone for?
Well, he might not come back. We don't know. Eight shows.
I have plans over the next 8 weeks, so I'm not being here all
Keep
of
the
those.
schedule open. You never know if he doesn't come back from Germany. We don't know.
Fair enough. We hope that he's not detained. All right, we start in the world of the FIFA World Cup. Will the Moroccan magic continue, and will they be able to get into the final today, facing off against France at 1 p.m.?
Look, I mean, I love the story and the first African country to ever make it to a World Cup semifinal. How can you not be rooting for them here? But I do want a really good final, and I've become more and more of a fan just of Mbappe. If someone's not a huge soccer fan, but just watch it, he's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
One of the world's best.
And then since Cody
I know, but you don't realize that if you don't watch a bunch of European soccer, and then you're like, World Cup, and you're like, that guy's great.
Well, didn't you see him in the World Cup 4 years ago when he was 20 and he was amazing and basically established himself as the world's best player?
Sure, but we were talking about this with Rob yesterday. It's like the league he plays in is not televised really in the U.S., so it's like, in between the World Cup, no, I really don't watch. I haven't ever watched him. And also, Cody picked Argentina, so go France.
Why are you rooting against me?
Go France.
Jed, who did you choose to win?
I picked Spain, and they looked really good when they scored 6 goals in their opening match, and then they completely spit the bit.
I think you and Nick, is that something you guys just aligned with as a producer?
Yeah,
producers like Spain.
Yeah, B-Dub had Spain.
Although Rob
had
has
Spain.
Argentina.
Rob doesn't even know soccer. Oh, wait, he does, actually. All right, let's move to the world of baseball. You guys had talked about Carlos Correa getting $350 million. Is that way too much?
I mean,
for the player that he is my point.
Yeah, I mean, overall, do I think it's too much? Yes, but I think if you're the Giants, I understand why they go out, and that's what it was going to take. I think the number got pushed up. Scott Boras worked some magic because there were some rumors that the Mets suddenly were in at the last minute. Maybe that bumped the price up a couple mil, and that's what I guess he's supposed to do. But I don't think, quote unquote, any baseball player at that deal is worth that kind of money. But is he going to be a huge piece in building around for the San Francisco Giants? And yeah, absolutely. I get why they were interested. I think the contract's kind of insane, yes.
Yeah, but that's just
it's baseball.
It's the cost of doing business. Baseball free agency has been big spending all offseason. The thing I would always be worried about with Correa is, obviously, when he's on the field, he's one of the most consistent players ever. From a batting average, on base percentage, WAR perspective, defense perspective, all those things. He is a remarkably consistent player. He's not up or down. He doesn't have good and bad years. He just has good years. But he has only played in more than 110 games 2 times in 8 years. For a player that I'm paying that amount of money, I want more than 110 games twice.
I think that he's actually kind of an overrated player. I know you talk about his production, but for $350 million, I certainly don't think that he's worth that. I mean, consistent, yes, but oft injured. I mean, what's your availability, really? So to me, that's why I wouldn't have ever gone near that.
Well, like, he plays a premium position. We know, I mean, like, he plays a premium position. That's also going to get you in the category where he's at finance. 13-year contract is just wild.
You know who else plays a premium position and isn't on the field very often? Alberto Mondesi.
Yeah, that's accurate. Although he's never had the success that Carlos Correa has had.
No, he hasn't. But you understand the point. Obviously, I'm using a dramatic effect, but the point remains the same. To the world of the NHL, an NHL fan had his fingertip bitten off during an insane fight at the Coyotes versus Bruins game last Friday. Would you guys ever be in a situation where you would bite off someone's fingertip?
No. Was this the same
I don't know.
fight?
Gold and I have talked about boxing. I might be willing to bite if it takes winning.
Wait, if we did our charity boxing event between you and I,
on.
Yeah, you'd have the padded.
I have to bite your nose.
What are you going to bite?
I want to win the fight.
Biting what though? Like you said, the ears are covered. I think in that circumstance.
I think I'm rough with nose.
Vander Holyfield or something. I think the fight you're talking about, was that the one where there was video that came out and there's a police officer in the stands right there and he just watches the whole thing?
Yep.
He just watched the whole thing.
It's what you do. It's
honest
a
to God.
game. They allow fighting in hockey, so I don't know why they wouldn't in the stands.
Now that you found out someone got their finger bit off, he made the right choice.
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding.
Maybe he could have prevented.
Stay out of that.
Maybe he could have prevented the guy from getting his finger bit off. I don't know what level of anger and drunkenness and everything you have to get to bite somebody's finger off, tip of the finger off.
I think any time you resort to biting, it's definitely a bad idea. Last one, Mississippi State says that they will not be pulling out of the bowl game that they're going to be playing in spite of Mike Leach passing. A very sad and somber condolence go to Mike Leach, but do you guys think this is the right idea for
They
the
are
Bulldogs?
right. Their statement of Mike Leach would be mad at us if we didn't play in this game, I think is accurate.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think that's if you based on all the great memories and videos and stories that have been shared as well in the last 24 hours as well. Yeah, that's exactly. I do believe.
Put them both in pirate helmets.
He would absolutely be upset if they cancel the bowl game because of him. And so I think it is probably the right decision to go and play. And yeah, hopefully both teams, or at least Mississippi State, and I'm sure they will honor him, in pregame and throughout. Maybe there's the decal and all kinds of other stuff that they can do. Maybe both teams will do something. But yeah, obviously terrible news, as we talked about a little bit yesterday, involving Mike Leach and his passing at the age of 61.
I guess we have a little bit more time, so
Yeah.
I'm going to get to one more because
Okay.
I think that this is quite funny and a little bit troubling. So Floyd Mayweather gave a group of 5 kids $1,000 each for a Christmas present. A great, very charitable
Yeah.
gesture.
Okay.
Except for the fact that his name is Floyd Money Mayweather. $1,000?
Wait, hold
What
on.
a cheapskate.
Hold on.
What
Wow.
a cheap
How many
SOB.
kids?
You don't
5 kids. That's $5,000. You're
that's
telling
it?
me?
Now, okay, these were just whose kids?
Not his. Just
just random
kids.
Then this is what I hate when this stuff happens. When it's, you're right. He's loaded. I really get upset sometimes when this. There's other examples of this where I'll be like, "Oh, they only donated 10,000." Like, stop! Like, I hate that kind of stuff where it's like, be grateful. He gave these random kids
Are those the
$1,000.
only 5 kids, though? man?
$1,000 a piece, and what we're upset he only gave them 1,000.
So by
I think it'd have been better if he gave away like $50,000, but to a bunch of different kids. Just 5 kids
But
and
that's the problem.
$1,000.
It's
That's
like,
lame.
you're never good enough, man.
I would give away $100 to a random kid, and I don't even make a lot of money.
Gold, he's worth
I understand what he's worth.
$450 million.
This is
But
the
think
same
about
thing
that
when it's like,
$5,000 that he shelled
What's
out,
that,
Cody.
0.00001% of his net worth?
Look, if you want to complain when someone gets fined a certain amount of money and you're like, hey, they're worth $1 billion and they only got fined 100,000, that's nothing. That's because they did something wrong, so you can be critical there. When someone's doing something nice, and even if they're worth $500 million and it's a $5,000 essentially donation here, and you're like, well, he could have done 100,000. Like, he's still doing something
What
kind.
would you
I
have
don't
spent
need
it
to
on,
be
by the way, if you were a kid?
1,000
Go back to
bucks?
Alex Gold.
How old were the kids?
Let's say 10.
You know?
No.
Let's say 10.
10-year-old me, we would have bought a new video game system and some games, definitely.
I mean, that's not getting you to the full 1,000. I mean, I guess by a lot of games.
400 games. You can get there quick. A new controller, the headset, a gaming chair. You can get there, man.
You just spend all
Yeah.
video game stuff, huh? That's just spend your whole G? What about you, Jed? What would you spend it on?
Oh, weed, of course.
At 10?
Well, I mean, yeah.
$1,000 worth of weed feels like a lot of weed, Jed. How long did that last you?
Like a week and a half.
You live on the Missouri side, right?
No, he
Sure,
does
if
not.
that helps you.
I'm just curious. Now
No,
that,
I
now
do
that-
not.
Jed lives and has always lived on the Kansas side of things.
Okay, I didn't know.
show.
Cody, you're coming up. Technically, it's pretty soon. You'll be able to just go right down the street, man.
I'm
Legally
ready to
buy
get medical.
some.
That's not.
Do you have a medical card?
I might.
Yes or no?
Do you? You've been holding out this whole time?
What do you mean holding out this whole time? Supposed to go to the dispensary for everyone?
Yeah.
It's like one of those things you get and then you just.
So if you're not used it, you do have one.
But smoke. That's the weirdest part.
I might occasionally eat an edible or something.
That's a bold-faced lie.
Cody brought in cookies to the office the other day.
He brought me in some
I
today.
brought Jed some. They weren't that kind of cookie. Could you imagine if I did that and
I think you
didn't
get
tell
fired.
anybody?
I think you get
You
fired,
fired?
and arrested.
Arrested? If I told everyone?
Well, if you gave everybody a heads up, yeah.
Yeah, if
you
I put it
just-
on the sign, I think that then
If
it's fine.
you just brought them in and didn't tell anybody, yeah, that's not something that's legal.
That part might be bad.
I'm not talking like the weed part, but just still something.
The drug part.
The drug part inside the cookies without telling people.
Seems dangerous.
That seems a little problematic for some people. All right, coming up next, we'll get back into the Chiefs. There's this weird thing going on between Herbert and Mahomes. We'll try to get to the bottom of it next.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
They just told you, but yeah, Gann Asphalt and Concrete is the only company in Kansas City you need to trust. with all things parking lot. Doesn't matter if it's asphalt paving, commercial paving services, or just trying to take care of those maintenance problems that have been building up at your company's parking lot for all of these years. They can handle those big projects for you, and they can handle it here locally with people you can trust. Very good friends with part of the ownership there and some of the sales staff. And I understand that they're not going to try to just talk you into things that you're not ready for. You know when your parking lot is in need of this kind of repair, and they can assess the quality, the condition, and the services you might need in order to make sure your parking lot lasts as long as you need. Whether you need it completely redone, start from fresh, or you need those fixes to make sure that your parking lot and your pavement can stay in the kind of quality you need further and further on. Take care of your business. Take care of it in all the other ways. Make sure that it doesn't become a bigger problem later, and let GAN Asphalt and Concrete take care of it for you. Go to GANNasphalt.com for more.
Wrap up your holiday gift list at NFM. Find something for everyone on your list, all in one store. The latest appliances, the hottest electronics, furniture, rugs, and more. Don't forget, NFM gift cards make perfect presents. NFM reduced prices on thousands of in-stock items store-wide. Get the best deals in every department. There's still time to find great gifts at low prices. Stand mixers, wireless headphones, TVs, recliners, toys, desks, home decor, entertainment furniture, and more. Get it today with convenient drive-through pickup and take advantage of 24-month financing. Find big selection and big savings at NFM. Bring the family this weekend and join us for photos with Santa, kids' crafts, a free gift, and more. Plus, stop by Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m. to meet members from KC Current and score a few autographs. Check out NFM.com for more event details. Minimum monthly payments required, 18% APR. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Join the Kansas City Community Meetup in supporting the 87 and Running charity this weekend at Level Up Arena. There'll be games like Madden, Call of Duty, and Mario Kart from noon until 10 o'clock. That's all at the Level Up Arena this Saturday, December 17th.
Today we're going to share a recipe for the perfect game day cocktail. First, we're going to need the game. Lovely. Next, we're going to add some friends. You can find these just about anywhere. I got mine from college. Finally, we add Red Kingdom Vodka, the official vodka of the Kansas City Chiefs. Once you have all the ingredients, shake vigorously and enjoy. Red Kingdom Vodka by Kansas City Distilling Company is part of the J. Rigger & Co. family of brands.
What makes an unbelievable moment? The unbelievable work that goes into it. Community America Credit Union creates unbelievable moments with hardworking resources that go beyond traditional banking, like paying a portion of our profits back to members and creating new products that help our members build their credit. We believe everyone in KC should have the opportunity to work towards achieving financial peace of mind. Join us at communityamerica.com/unbelievable.
Holiday shopping is in full swing, and if jewelry is on your list, shop local at Nose Jewelry. It's E.J. Becker, and Nose Jewelry is a holiday tradition for so many of us who know and trust the team at Nose. Nose Christmas Book is the perfect way to find the perfect gift for that special someone on your list, or for yourself. You'll find the Christmas book online at nosejewelry.com, or stop by the store and grab one. Nose is a locally owned, woman-owned business. Rochelle and her team will help you find the perfect gift, help you do it within your budget. You'll see what I mean when you see the Christmas book. And they'll help you create more than a smile this Christmas. They'll help you create a lasting memory. It's easy to get to Nose Jewelry in Raymore, 58 Highway, just east of 71 Highway. You'll find them online at nosejewelry.com. And please mention EJ when you shop for Christmas at Nose.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895. 800-826-9895.
Paid for by Open Jar Concepts. Attention firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown that chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was exposed to AFFF and were diagnosed with any of these cancers, including kidney, bladder, prostate, pancreatic, lymphoma, leukemia, testicular, and neuroendocrine, then you should call us immediately because you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call us at 800-868-0379. Our experienced attorneys will fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless we get a recovery in your favor. Time is limited to file a claim, so call us now, 800-868-0379. Operators are standing by 24/7, so don't wait. 800-868-0379. That's 800-868-0379. Again, 800-868-0379.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Join 610 Sports Radio for our second annual Playoff Pilsner Beer Release Party on Friday, January 13th, starting at 6 at Cinder Block Brewery in North Kansas City, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
O'clock hour. It's Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. Jed Marshall in for Nick. Mine are coming up in 45 minutes. We head out to Arrowhead and we'll hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes middle of the week as they get set to take on the Texans. Maybe get a little injury update on who could practice, and most notably, you're talking about McCole Hardman and Kadarius Toney, as it didn't seem like they got any new injuries out of the Denver game, which was good. So that's coming up in just a little bit. We will get into some news coming on college basketball here in the last few minutes and how it could relate to the University of Kansas and their ongoing investigation through the IARP and the NCAA's 5 Level 1 violations, as the report just came out for Arizona, who had 5 Level 1 violations. Their former head coach, Sean Miller, did not receive any sanctions in this, and pretty much all of the self-imposed for like a self-imposed punishment that the university did is what the IARP took as, okay, that's good enough. Now, their former assistant coaches, did receive multiple show cause bans, right? So a 10-year ban for their former assistant coach and some others. But how does that relate to Kansas? What does that say maybe about the potential punishment for KU basketball? We'll get to that a little bit later on in the show, but I think it's kind of interesting.
It definitely kind of changes the tenor to make you feel pretty good. The one unknown, I think, remaining. I think everything else is fine. Whatever else Kansas has done, that's good, and you should know that. The only thing remaining is, because Curtis Townsend might get a show cause, but it's not going to be self. I think it's pretty clear it's not going to be self based on everything we know now. The only thing to know is, will they give them a postseason ban? Did Arizona need to do that? Did they need to take that step? Because everything else Kansas has done has more harshly self-imposed on themselves than Arizona did. So you wouldn't think that any of that's going to need to be changed. Seems like they went above and beyond there in an effort to try to keep the rest of the numbers down. So when's Kansas supposed to be up? I feel like these IARPs are starting to come through.
Man.
We almost done here?
Anybody that chose this independent review panel
first, it was the right choice.
Instead of the NCAA, the punishments have been lighter. They just simply have. And so, it was the right decision in that. But again, for Arizona, the ruling just coming out a few minutes ago, level 1 standard for the school, so more than 1 year. The 1 year postseason ban that they already did was not added. And Book Richardson got the 10-year show cause, which was an assistant for Arizona, and then Mark Phelps, another assistant, got a 2-year show cause. So we'll talk maybe a little bit more about this a little bit later on in the show. But I think we saw Justin Herbert play one of his best games of the season on Sunday night in their win against the Miami Dolphins. And earlier in the day, after Mahomes had thrown 3 interceptions, as we know, against the Broncos. There was a beat writer for The Athletic, Daniel Popper, who I think has been on this station. I don't know if we've had him on our show, but I think he's been on maybe with The Drive or whatever. And he was sent out essentially, I think it was just a troll tweet. You bought it. You gave him what he wanted, Cody. I felt like a little bit. You quote tweeted him. You quote tweeted him.
Oh, yeah.
And because his tweet was, well, Justin Herbert's never thrown 3 picks, and you very quickly and correctly so responded back and quote tweeted it, as many did, and said, yeah, Justin Herbert's also never even been in the postseason.
Which I think is fair.
Oh, it is
and
fair.
look, Popper was trying to get everyone's attention, and it worked, and everyone appropriately dunked on it. But here's the problem I have with this comparison. Because if any time people try to put people in the, little grouping with Mahomes, and the only quarterback who I think can even be discussed in that conversation right now is Allen, and he has reverted back to some rookie mistake stuff that makes you question that a little bit, is every single little escape hatch everyone creates for their guy Justin Herbert, and I think he's very talented.
We did our top 5 last week before that Sunday game.
And we all had him in there.
Yeah.
Are all things Patrick Mahomes has overcome. I don't want to hear one more national narrative like, well, it's not Justin Herbert's fault that his defense is ranked 27th in the NFL. Do I need to remind anybody that Patrick Mahomes made the AFC title game, Alex, when he had the worst defense in the entire NFL. One that couldn't help but let up 50 points to the Rams and pretty much 30 to every other team in the NFL. Last year, the Chiefs had a historically bad defense for the first half of the NFL season. The Chiefs still made the postseason that year. They still found themselves in an AFC title game, and he put up massive numbers. Then they'll say things like, well, his weapons haven't all been on the team together this year at the same time. I just told you, Mahomes hasn't had like his full complement of weapons this entire season. McColl's missed some time. Juju needed some time to get back up. Whoever their starting running back was going to be isn't now. Like, what? It doesn't matter, right? And not even in this year.
Hold on though. Like, what's the like other than that tweet from Daniel Popper? Like, what's the origin of this?
Like
nobody's making the argument that Mahomes is not as good as Herbert. That's not happening.
People got to stop making excuses for Herbert. It's done. If he can't make it to the postseason, it's on him. None of this is his coach or the team around him or the fact that the defense is no good. If Mahomes can overcome all this and you think you got the guy, those kind of guys make the postseason.
I mean, I think there just has to be a balance on both ends. Like, you can't excuse it away. We before the season said that if Herbert doesn't make the playoffs this year, and now they're in position to do so, even though they're currently the 8th seed, not the 7th seed.
They've got a really easy schedule.
If they don't make it, we said at some point like that has to be on him. If you're one of those guys, you got to make the postseason. And I do think the Chargers will end up making the postseason. And so I think that part of the conversation will be moot. Nobody's saying Herbert's better than Mahomes. I haven't seen that anywhere. Nobody's saying Herbert's better than Mahomes. I think Justin Herbert.
It's not even that. It's just like putting him in a
quarterback. I had him number 3 last week when we did our deal on the show. I still think that's the case. I thought that before the Sunday night game, and I was even more impressed after the Sunday game. I think he is the real deal. I just like the whole. I don't even know where the whole conversation is starting.
What's happened is
you're not allowed to be a top 5 quarterback if you're not Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that's the weird he's not Mahomes. It doesn't mean he's not a great quarterback.
No, so it's not that, and I'm certainly not. Again, we did our top 5, and I put him in it. So I'm not trying to say that Justin Herbert's not a great quarterback. I think what's happened here is when they look for the things, the frustration comparison between this was when I was watching the way, and maybe some of this is just like, it's not even just Popper. It's like the way it gets handled in the national media between these two guys is so absurd. All they look for is excuses for why Mahomes isn't, like, Mahomes should be doing better. He should be doing more. He should be doing more with less. He should be doing all this. And then it's just an excuse train for Herbert, who is a top 5 talented quarterback, who is going to have to stop being in that list if he can't make a postseason. Stop. Like, there needs to be less. Like, for instance, there is no excuse, none, for him to not make the postseason this year. Their remaining schedule is the Titans, who are falling apart, the Colts, who have already fallen apart, the Rams, who are one of the worst teams in football, and the Broncos, who are also one of the worst teams in football. If you can't make the postseason with that schedule and 4 games remaining, then I'm just going to keep putting you further down the list. There's no more reasons for excuse.
Right,
because
we acknowledge
to
that.
Me,
I guess
it's
why
so
are we
interesting
why are we already doing that, though, I guess is my question. I told you before the season, if he doesn't make the playoffs, then
you're just going to wait out these 4 games and then decide?
Then the criticism is fair. Before the season, we said if he doesn't make the playoffs, then we have to start having real conversations about where he actually stacks up
Someone said, has Mahomes played with a cracked rib for the season? I mean, he played with a hurt knee for half a year. Is that good enough for you? What do you need? Do you need, because there's another one.
This is what I'm saying. This is so weird. This whole thing is very weird to me. No, why are we comparing Mahomes? They aren't on the same playing field. That's the weird.
What's the gap you think between the two?
I don't know where. Nope. I don't think anybody's actually ever at this point, other than the first year or two in the league.
Here's the difference. I just feel like people are much more willing to make excuses for him than they are Mahomes.
Well, the same thing with Brady. This happens when you are.
He hit a new standard.
Yeah,
that might be fair.
When you are, and this is why when we discussed the MVP race yesterday, and why it kind of is unfair in terms of how, because Mahomes is going to have the most passing yards in the league, the most passing touchdowns in the league, and potentially the number one seed. We'll see. And because Jalen Hurts is kind of the new guy in town.
I feel like they've been more willing to make excuses for Justin Herbert than Kyler Murray.
Well, again, we're talking about a completely different tier quarterback. Nobody thinks Kyler Murray is as good as Herbert or Mahomes. When you're guys like Mahomes and Allen, and when you're Brady and Manning, people, fair or not, and I would say unfair probably, judge you to a different scale.
Well,
and it's just weird. It's not. This is just how. Isn't this how sports conversations work in general? Like we're talking about these elite type of players. There's different scale in how we grade them out. I think Justin Herbert is a top 5 quarterback, as do you.
I do.
I don't think anybody's trying to make the argument that Justin Herbert is the same quarterback as Patrick Mahomes. But he's very, very talented.
But people will be we buried Kyler Murray because he played awful in that wild card game last year. He's at least been in the postseason. He has a 500 record too.
Justin Herbert has to make the postseason. We're both in agreement on that. He has to make it. Otherwise, we can't sit here next season heading in and claim that Justin Herbert's still in that category.
I'd call him a top 5 talent and not a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
And that's fair. That's it. And I know we're in Kansas City, so in Kansas City, everybody loves hearing that because Justin Herbert is in the AFC West. So I think if we're just, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but if we're just trying to pander to Chiefs fans, you're like, well, Justin Herbert, he's not any good. Because that's just what I feel like people want to say.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. And I feel like that's where some people are at on it. And that's why if Justin Herbert was not in the AFC West, I also think in Kansas City, people wouldn't be as critical of Justin Herbert because they're not dealing with the quarterback.
But I think we're the only conference who's being fairly critical of Justin Herbert. Because I guess that's kind of the point, is that there are a lot of built-in excuses for him in the early going from people, and I don't think that he deserves them.
Yeah.
You're too talented to not have had more success.
Agreed, which is why he has to make the postseason this year. If he doesn't, then it's very, very fair. Are we then, as soon as he makes the postseason and wins a playoff game, everybody's backing off, or are we going to make new obstacles for him? I'm just saying it'll
be new obstacles if you're going to be a top 5 quarterback.
Right. So,
make the postseason's just the bare minimum thing we ask of you.
But that's my point.
You're a top 5 quarterback.
But that's my point. Is we do this for every quarterback. It's not. This is the whole Herbert Mahomes thing is bizarre to me. They're not. They're not on the same scale.
Could have been a time probably in the offseason. I'm sure someone did and had made the argument that those guys were on the same tier. But I don't think
someone's saying that Herbert is just Tony Romo. To me, come on now. The talent level's not even close between the two quarterbacks. Herbert has to make the postseason and do more. I absolutely agree. But come on. We all watch football.
I'm not willing to
Justin
say
Herbert is a better quarterback than Tony Romo was. Come on. Look at the arm. Look at the arm talent and say, come on.
Oh, physical tools. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Now, he needs to make the playoffs and win some games and all that. No question. But, man. I won't ride with you on the Tony Romo and Justin Herbert are the same guy. I can't get there. All right, we'll get to the trash of the day coming up in 5 minutes. Thinking of greatness, though, one guy
League of their own.
And judged on a different scale, comparing to the best to do it ever at their positions. Travis Kelce, who now has become the 5th tight end to reach 10,000 receiving yards. We didn't get to this on Monday and Tuesday because of some of the frustration still coming off of the defense and just the performance as a whole. But Travis Kelce has absolutely shattered some records, and in fact, he just needs 16 to pass Shannon Sharp for 4th all time. So he's going to be 4th all time very quickly, very, very quickly. This, that's what's insane about this. The path that he continues on to have 5 or 7 now, right? 7 straight
1,000 yard seasons.
1,000 yard
One
seasons.
more next year, and he will double up the next closest.
That's
person.
ridiculous.
And none of those guys can catch him. They're all retired. So. It's not like they're getting from 4 to 5. They're all gone. They're all out of the league.
If he stays healthy, he's going to absolutely obliterate any of these tight end records.
To me, he already has, because he's the fastest to 10,000. Do you know how much faster he is to 10,000? 2 full seasons. Alex, the closest person to him at the same number of games that he got to 10,000 yards was at 8,142. That's what they were in the same number of games. They were a full 2,000 yards behind him through the same number of games. I'm never going to ding Travis Kelce because he was older when he got to the NFL. Because maybe in the end, he won't catch the career yardage total of Tony Gonzalez because he started in the league 4 full years older than Tony Gonzalez was. To me, he's already shattered it because to me, how many games it takes you to get to the number of yardage you're at, that qualifies. And he did it so much faster than every other tight end that's ever done it. And it's not particularly close, and he beat Shannon by so much that he had done it. And he's doing things. This is another thing that like special players do, that he's doing it at an age older than anyone's ever had success at. And this goes back to probably our conversation that started maybe 3 years ago when we started. We've been on the show for almost 3 years.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that this conversation is almost 3 years old on this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we started talking
2.5 years old, maybe the summer.
Yeah, after the Super Bowl win, maybe roughly. We maybe started talking about, but yeah, because here in we're 3 weeks away from being on the air on this show for 3 years.
Should we do an anniversary party? How's that work?
No, you got to wait till you at least get to minimum 5, probably 10.
10?
Yeah,
no way. I
5.
refuse to do 10. We got no chance at that, so we might as well do 5,
You're
Jed.
already thrown in the towel on 10.
10? That's a lot of years, Jed. How many
5,
radio shows make it 10 years?
Oh, not many.
Bob and Josh have been doing it for 11 or 12. They didn't do a 10-year anniversary party, and you're asking to do one at 3?
Because they're tired and old.
Correct. Just because they didn't want to get something for each other for their 10-year anniversary doesn't mean we shouldn't.
Wait, now you're wanting gifts?
I think so. I think gifts are in order.
Goodness.
Yeah, I'd like a gift for when I wrap
What's
up.
5 years? Is 5 years wood?
Is what?
What's the typical anniversary thing for 5 years? Wood?
I don't know how that all works. I don't know. You're the one that's married. When's your 10, 5, 10, 15-year
My
anniversary?
10 years coming up next year.
You better have something planned. Better have something big planned. You give me a weird look like you don't think you need to have anything planned for your 10-year
Well, I'm just saying,
wedding
you think I just won't have anything?
I don't
have anything planned for my 10-year wedding anniversary?
Start making plans, man.
Wouldn't worry about that.
Oh, you already got it figured out.
I would say that it's not that I'm ignoring plans.
Okay.
What percentage chance do you think we got to get to 10 years? We're at 3 right now. Come on, what percentage? You can't put it at 100. That's crazy. This is radio.
No, I mean, like...
Radio might not exist in 7 years. We can't even guarantee that
this exact...
that radio will exist in 7 years.
This exact show,
this show,
exact
me
time
and
slot...
you. It could be any producer, Jad, Nick, whoever.
7 years from now, 25%.
All right, pretty good.
If that. If that.
Doesn't mean you might not be in Kansas City.
Let's be real. But yeah, let's get to the trash.
Trash of the day.
All right. So we go to Mississippi for this one, where an argument between two men over a game of golf led to Jed in his notes and was telling us about biting somebody. Well,
Cutting a finger off.
It happened on a golf course.
Talking a lot about a biting.
An argument, two men over a golf game led one golfer to bite the nose off the other in the parking lot of a casino. That happened. This was at a casino. They arrived.
Casino?
Uh-huh. The nose was not found as the victim was taken to the hospital.
Does that mean they ate it?
It bit the nose off. Like, didn't it bit the nose off, and the nose was not found.
You know, this is an
individual
important
can face
lesson.
7
Just never
years
get
in
in a fight.
prison. 7 years in prison.
Whoa,
Because
whoa, whoa.
state law, according to the Biloxi Sun-Herald, Wells faces up to 7 years in prison if convicted. Premeditated crime if you mutilate, disfigure, or disable someone's tongue, eye, lip, nose, limb, or another body part. 7 years in prison.
You think that's fair? You think if you bite off
Yes.
someone's nose, you should get 7 years?
Absolutely. If you dismember somebody, damn right.
Dismember?
That's kind of what happened here.
I mean, the man doesn't have a nose, Cody. What would you describe it as?
It doesn't describe how much of his nose was gone. It just said, he seriously got the whole thing.
Apparently a significant amount where they couldn't find it.
Maybe it was too small. Maybe it's the opposite of what you're thinking. It was small. It was hard to find. You ever try to find something small after you dropped it on the ground? It's very
If that
challenging.
helps you, Cody, whatever gets you through the day, you psychopath.
Bite somebody's nose off because he's like, we had Nick and Dusty were getting in a fight over their golf game. This was 6 months ago or so. Can you imagine, because of that disagreement, that it led to one of them biting the nose off of the other?
I'd have to be in a pretty desperate situation to think. The only way I'm getting out of this is to bite this person's nose off. I'd have to be in a desperate spot in order to, I think, turn to that level of... But that level. But this is also, don't ever get in a fight with public places, especially places where crazy people might be. Casinos they've got crazy people, right? There's certain places just don't. Really, honestly, if someone's willing to get a fight in a really normal place too, also concerning. If someone's willing to fight you in the middle of a Trader Joe's, there's something wrong with that person.
It's really just
why are they trying to fight in the middle of a Trader Joe's?
I don't think the venue matters if you go to the extreme of biting someone's nose. You're crazy. I don't think it matters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to me, the locale is irrelevant. If you are willing to, at this point, even get into a fight. If you're a grown person and you're still willing to get into a fight,
you just missed this.
There's something wrong with you.
Two grown-ups got in a fight at my, right before my kid's soccer game on Sunday.
Yeah. And Cody just stood
them?
idly by.
I didn't stand idly by.
Someone says,
would they get in a fight
for
over?
Cody to downplay Hannibal when you said, it's not that, when you thought 7 years
7
was
years
too
felt like a long time,
that's interesting. You think 7 years is too much. What do you think's the proper punishment for biting someone's ear?
Jail time, just 7 years felt strong.
What, 3?
By the way, Jeremy Fowler is reporting the Chiefs are activating the 21-day practice window for McCole Hardman. Hardman was on the IR, so he's he's not off the IR. He's opened the practice window for the abdomen injury. But healthy enough to practice.
So I think what will happen, and we'll hear from Andy in about 20 minutes. But yeah, my guess is he'll practice this week a little bit. He will not be activated off of, the window will be activated.
Yeah, 3 weeks to activate him.
He's not going to be, they're activating the window, but I don't think he's going to come off IR this week.
Do you think Andy will finally disclose what the hell that injury actually was?
No. Come on.
They called it both an abdomen injury and an abdomen illness, and nobody, including McCole, ever really talked about it.
If the next time McCole talks, so that might be a week or two from now, maybe he'll be maybe he'll share then. But no, you think Andy's just going to tell you today? No, come on now.
Could have hoped.
I think that's very optimistic.
I would think so. Seeing how Andy never really reveals any private medical information, unlike this show.
Oh, we talk about medical information all the time. No HIPAA on this show.
Nick's gone. For 8 days, we are an open medical show. How many surgeries have you had in your life, Alex?
Surgery 1.
One.
The broken finger. I had I think I've told the story. Yeah. I had in high school, PE class, ridiculous. Flag football game, caught a football, was fine. Looked down, all of a sudden, pinky was way out of whack. And nurse was like, oh, it's just jammed.
It's just jammed?
That's what she said. That was her reaction. And then I was like, oh, this is starting to get a little swollen. Maybe you do need to go see a doctor. So then I left school, went to the doctor. They're like, yeah, this is definitely broken. Had the x-rays, had to go see an orthopedic doctor and surgeon, and then, had to be put out. They did multiple pins. And if you look at the pinky, one is just slightly, not much, but just if you're watching the video stream, one just a little, there's like a little indentation on the pinky. That's it.
Yeah, that's at least
surgery,
you can barely notice. I didn't even fix this broken finger, and it's still not right. It's never been the same.
Yeah,
it's all the knuckles all fat and weird. Nothing to be done about it.
Accurate description. All right, coming up next, we get right back into the Chiefs and the Chiefs Red Half Hour. The trust that can be earned still with this defense, and then of course we'll head out to Arrowhead and hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Alex's That Betting Show every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Right here on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
It's that time of year again, and there's no better way for sports fans to celebrate the season than with BetMGM's 12 days of giveaways. Opening your presents is easy. Just sign into your BetMGM account and unwrap a new giveaway every day between December 14th and December 25th. You'll find everything a bettor needs to enjoy the holidays, including deposit matches, free bets, and parlay boost tokens on all your favorite sports. Just log in to your BetMGM account or sign up today for the 12 days of giveaways from the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older and physically present in Kansas to wager. New and existing customers offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Old Shawnee Pizza has a smoked and holiday Wednesday BOGO special. Buy any medium one-topping pizza and get the second medium one-topping pizza free. Call or go online today to ShawneePizza.com to order for pickup, delivery, or eat in. Old Shawnee Pizza, 2 locations, Shawnee and Lenexa.
She's the one, the only one, the one you plan to spend the rest of your life with. So why are you looking at rings in some jewelry case that come out of a Chinese factory or come from some self-proclaimed pretend friend in the jewelry business who you'll never meet, who has a factory in Bangkok? She deserves more than a participation trophy. This is Jean from House of Diamonds. The love of your life is a one-of-a-kind creation. Honor her with a one-of-a-kind ring that you helped create. Unlike other stores, we custom designed, prototype, cast, and hand finish our jewelry completely in our Overland Park studio. It never leaves House of Diamonds until it does so with you. That's one of the reasons we can back our jewelry with a forever warranty. And one of the reasons we repair and rebuild a lot of jewelry bought elsewhere. Come see the difference up close. Hey, we might even become real friends at House of Diamonds. House of Diamonds on the southeast corner of College and Quivira.
We asked Google Fiber customers what they think about their internet.
I don't really pay attention to it.
We don't think about our internet too often.
Google Fiber has simplified my life tremendously to the point that I just never think about my internet.
I can just let the internet do its thing and leave my mind, which is really nice. It's a really good sense of peace of mind.
If you don't have to think about your internet, that means it's working pretty well.
Sign up for Google Fiber today at fiber.google.com. Actual Google Fiber customer compensated for testimonial. Customer experience may vary.
Where can you find steel, aluminum, brass, and stainless, and occasionally random stuff in the back? The Foot, who has an extensive line of Blue Demon welding supplies, filler, rods, and wire. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only stocking dealer for Fronius professional welding equipment. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only Fronius authorized service and repair center. The Foot, where can you go to take a Fronius welder for a test drive? The Foot, where can you find Colossus, your friendly neighborhood robot? The Foot. Just like Colossus, Metal by the Foot stands tall and ready to help both pro and DIY warriors with their metal needs. For over 35 years, Metal by the Foot has continued to up their game by providing you with the convenience and selection of metals you have come to expect. Discover new and unique quality products to take your project and skills to the next level. Get instant pricing on most items at metalbythefoot.com. That's metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the foot.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just 1 dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe. The daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895. 800-826-9895.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage?
If your check engine light is on, it may be affecting your MPGs, but the free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help. With the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes, you'll know what's affecting your gas mileage and more, and you don't have to drive too far to find the fix. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service is available at all 6,200 stores.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
See details at AutoZone.com.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7, with supplies and solutions for every industry, and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Cold for this Wednesday with a little sun, high 39.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Staples offers the latest tech solutions from HP, plus great savings when you bundle an HP printer, PC, and monitor. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. This season, tailgate with Andy's Pick 6.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a Pick 6, or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game, and tell him Mitch and Andy sent you.
Chiefs Red Half Hour, every day at 11:30 on Cody and Gold.
Chiefs Red Half Hour is brought to you by Greenway Ford. It's a new day, a new way forward. Coming up in about 8 minutes, we're going to head out to Arrowhead. You'll hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Andy will be asked, I'm sure, about McCole Hardman, who, according to Jeremy Fowler, had his 21-day practice window activated from the IR. He is still on IR. It just means he can now practice with the team, and we'll see kind of what their timeline is for him. That's coming up in just a little bit. But I think with this defense, because of what we just saw happen on Sunday, that knowing the four opponents that are remaining on the schedule, you get the Broncos yet again, you get the Texans, of course, this Sunday, maybe a playoff team in Seattle, and then you wrap up against a division team and the Raiders, who are not going to the playoffs. And maybe you need that game. Looks like you will. Will they need it? Probably not. So it might be just a situation where the Chiefs have more to play for, certainly than the Raiders do. So I don't think defensively there's a ton of opportunity for people to jump right back on board.
What about for you? What if they allowed 10 points a game for the Final Four?
10 points a game? Yeah, I mean.
Like, is there a threshold that at least you're like, all right, I'm back? Because I feel like you bought back in. The biggest time you bought back in over the last few years has been that middle portion of the season when they went through a stretch like that. They were allowing 10 to 14 points per game against bad opponents, which is what these are.
This is the opposite, though, because in the past, the team would get off to a slow start defensively. And then under Spags, the trend had been they get better later in the year. That had been kind of the trend. This year, they got off to a really good start defensively the first 7-8 weeks of the season. And then you saw a couple stretches of the game where they started to get a couple more sacks. And now, are you going to finish strong, or are you going to have what happened against the Broncos happen a little bit more against some poor competition? If that happens, then I don't know how you'll have much faith. I think ultimately the trust won't happen until they win a playoff game against one of these playoff teams, whether it's the Dolphins, whether it's the Bengals, whether it's the Bills, and whether or not the defense can hold up in those particular games. But yeah, I mean, if Cody, if they give up 7 or 10 points to the Texans and give up 7 or 10 points to the Seahawks,
17 and then 13 to the other, and it averages out to be 10, 12 points allowed per game.
You'll get to the point where everything's been stabilized to where you're not panicking. But what the conversation will be? It'll be, well, it was Davis Mills, the Seahawks team with Geno Smith that aren't playing as well. It'll be that you went up against Russell Wilson, the Broncos, and did what you should have done the first time. Like, I think it's going to be awfully hard because of the opponents and the quarterbacks they're going to face down the stretch here for suddenly the faith in the defense to jump back, right back up to where it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. But they can stabilize the panic, the freak out.
Do you know how easy it would be
performing well?
They could just stop teams from scoring. This is the simplest thing ever. If they could just stop teams from scoring touchdowns when they get to the red zone, boy, they'd be so much better off. Because I know I've told you that turnovers are their single biggest flaw, and I think that that's accurate. I think their second biggest flaw is probably that. They're dead last. They're the worst team in the NFL at stopping teams from scoring a touchdown when they get inside the red zone. They're as bad at letting it up as they are good at scoring red zone touchdowns. That's terrifying. You should not be giving up a touchdown 68% of the time. And I know that, it's weirdly enough, we're going to have this conversation about what can they do in order to, convince you that they can do it again, is honestly, what's weird about this defense is if they just have a good game in that category, just one good game in that category, don't they win them all by 10? They have one of the best scoring margins in the NFL anyway. And they are the worst red zone scoring defense in the entire NFL from a touchdown allowed percentage.
They will be, 8+ point favorites in every game the rest of the way, if not double-digit favorites. They're 14-point favorites against this Texans team. Against Seattle, depending on what Seattle does this week, the Chiefs, Cody, could be 8.5-point favorites against them at home on Christmas Eve. And then the Broncos, we know they were 9.5-point favorites, and they ended up, of course, only winning by 6. So I'm guessing they're going to be, at this time of era, they'll be 9.5 or 10-point favorites against them, and then the Raiders. So they're going to be in that position. I think the reason why the concern is there, and you're like, well, what can they do? We remember watching this team when they won the Super Bowl in 2019-2020 season. And what did we notice? That defense from weeks about 11 on, they were playing like a top 10 defense. And so you started to get a vibe of, this is what a championship caliber defense, or good enough championship caliber defense, can do. And right now, we're coming off a week where we know that's not good enough.
It's hard,
right?
because
that's not good enough.
The text line's not fully wrong, because they're like, hey, we got to stop putting this on the defense. They were shutting them out for the majority of the first half. Mahomes threw 2 picks, and that was it. Because here's the thing: if the Chiefs had just shut it down at the end of the half, the Broncos would have had 0 points. We'd have gone at half 27-0. And I can't even imagine. And they had 6 sacks and 2 turnovers, like things. Mm-hmm. And they allowed less yards per play than the Broncos typically average in a game. And they're one of the worst in the NFL anyway. So I'm not saying that there weren't redeemable things about what. That's why I'm leaving open the door still, that in these final 4 weeks they can show me something. They can hold a team down to 13 points per game over the next 4 weeks. They can show me they're capable of getting turnovers. They can spend 4 weeks being a vastly improved red zone touchdown scoring percentage team, and have me buying back in. Because you know why I want to buy back into the defense? Because then otherwise I got to have the conversation that is, again, that's going to be the thing that holds them back from the Super Bowl. And that's certainly not where we want to be, thinking that once again, the fact that the defense isn't put together, because points per game wise, this is the second worst defense they've had under Mahomes.
Yeah,
only second to his rookie year.
Don't they have to look dominant almost in these 4 games?
In some category, yes. Not across the board for me.
Okay.
Dominant in turnovers, dominant in sacks, dominant in points allowed per game. Just show me you have one thing you can grab onto.
I just think the reaction was so strong to what occurred against the worst offense in football, and the 21 points in a 6-7 minute span that the Chiefs gave up defensively. That reaction was so strong that I don't know if you'll get a majority of Chiefs fans that feel what you're saying, which is that they can, other than being completely dominant for 4 weeks now, if they do that, I think it's going to take them winning against a playoff team and say the defense performed well. It's going to take in the wild card weekend against, well, the Patriots won't be that team either if it's the Patriots. Against the Chargers if it is. The divisional round game hosting Cincinnati or Buffalo, and the defense is up for the task. Then everybody's back on. I just don't know what the quarterbacks are going to face in the next 4 weeks, and the worst team in football, plain and simple, this weekend, and the Texans, that if they give up 13 points and have 2 sacks, I don't think everybody's going to be like, man, defense, I'm back on board. I would love for that to be the case, and I hope that's what they look like, by the way. I just don't think everybody's going to jump right back on, because there's still a lot of open wounds from the Broncos game.
Yeah, I don't think it can just be a one-game thing. I think it's going to take a couple of these all kind of putting together in order to get that feeling back. I just didn't know what it'd take to win you over. Or is it just stop a real offense in the NFL? Stop the Miami, stop the Cincinnati, stop the Buffalo. Do enough defensively to win a playoff game.
They would have to just be flat out dominant. They would have to be absolutely dominant and destructive defensively against a team like the Texans and the Broncos the next go round in order for me to suddenly forget what just happened last week and be confident again. All right, we're going to get a quick break in. When we come back, we're going to head out to Arrowhead and hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid and quarterback Patrick Mahomes.
This is Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Royals first baseman / NFL insider, Vinny Pasquantino, this football season with Cody and Gold.
My Twitter is about to unload of football tweets. First Jets game that I have free on Sunday. It's go time.
610 Sports Radio.
Wrap up your holiday gift list at NFM.
Find something for everyone on your list, all in one store. The latest appliances, the hottest electronics, furniture, rugs, and more. Don't forget, NFM gift cards make perfect presents. NFM reduced prices on thousands of in-stock items store-wide. Get the best deals in every department. There's still time to find great gifts at low prices. Stand mixers, wireless headphones, TVs, recliners, toys, desks, home decor, entertainment furniture, and more. Get it today with convenient drive-through pickup and take advantage of 24-month financing. Find big selection and big savings at NFM. Bring the family this weekend and join us for photos with Santa, kids' crafts, a free gift, and more. Plus, stop by Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m. to meet members from KC Current and score a few autographs. Check out nfm.com for more event details. Minimum monthly payments required, 18% APR. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Okay, we admit it. With literally thousands of different wines, craft beers, and fine spirits, Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstore can sometimes make it hard to choose. That's why we have certified sommeliers, cicerones, and spirits experts right there in the aisles to help. But one choice you will never have to make at Lucas is buying local or saving money. For 35 years, locally owned Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstores has been selling more beer, wine, and spirits in a week than some stores sell in a year. That's why we can sell it for less, way less. And while inflation is raising prices elsewhere, Lucas is holding the line or even lowering prices just in time for tailgating or a quiet fall evening on the patio. Shop local and save local at locally owned Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstores in the Northland, Overland Park, and South Kansas City. Online at lucaskc.com.
Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstore in a glass by itself.
Football, tailgating, holiday parties, and Smokehouse Barbecue. I can't think of anything better. The holidays are here. Let Smokehouse Barbecue celebrate with you. They have private banquet rooms at all 3 area locations in Zona Rosa, Gladstone, and Independence. If you're hosting your own party, invite Smokehouse along. Order the whole meal with their famous ribs and wings. And don't forget about their hickory pit beans or cheesy corn to go with your meal. Give them a call or check them out at smokehousebbq.com. For over 30 years and family-owned, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
Holiday shopping is in full swing. And if jewelry is on your list, shop local at Nose Jewelry. It's E.J. Becker, and Nose Jewelry is a holiday tradition for so many of us who know and trust the team at Nose. Nose Christmas Book is the perfect way to find the perfect gift for that special someone on your list, or for yourself. You'll find the Christmas book online at nosejewelry.com or stop by the store and grab one. Nose is a locally owned, woman-owned business. Rochelle and her team will help you find the perfect gift, help you do it within your budget. You'll see what I mean when you see the Christmas book. And they'll help you create more than a smile this Christmas. They'll help you create a lasting memory. It's easy to get to Nose Jewelry in Raymore, 58 Highway, just east of 71 Highway. You'll find them online at nosejewelry.com. And please mention EJ when you shop for Christmas at Nose.
At Lowe's, it pays to be a pro. Now through January 6th, Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards members earn 1 bonus point for every $1 spent on qualifying purchases with a Lowe's Business Credit Account. Redeem bonus points for cool rewards for your business. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards today to start earning. Subject to credit approval, Lowe's terms and exclusions. See Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points and Lowe's.com/L/Pro loyalty terms for details. U.S. only.
O'Reilly. See the road ahead more clearly with Sylvania Bulbs and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, purchase select Sylvania bulbs and get up to a $20 gift card after mail-in rebate, plus 2 times O-Rewards points. Replace your bulbs today and see better tonight. Let the professional parts people help you find the bulbs you need. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
106.5 The Wolf wants to give you the ultimate game day experience. Coors Light, McFadden's, and The Wolf are throwing huge parties for every game, home and away at KC Live in the Power and Light District. Complete with pregame food and drink specials, tailgate games, live entertainment, and more. When the game is over, celebrate the win with your fellow fans at McFadden's and KC Live. Come for the game, stay for the party at the ultimate game day experience. Brought to you by Coors Light. Get details from your official radio home for Chiefs football at 1065thewolf.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well,
trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Join us for the Playoff Pilsner Beer Release Party at 6 o'clock, Friday, January 13th at Cinder Block Brewery, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
All right, back here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. Josh Klingler, Chief Sideline Reporter, host of Fesco in the Morning, going to be joining us at 12:30. We'll talk to him about some of the things that we're expecting to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Also, Justin Reid will be at the podium today. Justin Reid making a return trip back to his old stomping grounds, at least the old team, the Houston Texans, where he played the first couple of years of his NFL career. So we'll head out and hear from Andy Reid in just a second. Of course, we're expecting to hear more about the roster activation, at least for the 21-day practice window for wide receiver McCole Hardman, who, of course, has been on IR with an abdomen injury or illness, as they haven't really clarified fully. So we'll head out there in just a second, and let's do that right now.
Yeah, so he had a little bit of a ramp up last week, which was good. Came out of that feeling pretty good. So we'll see how he does this week and make a decision, down the road here. So take it day by day, if you want to put that. I mean, just see how he does.
Andy, with Patrick, the previous week he said he had to eliminate one dumb play a game, and this week he said he had a bad play with the interception. What do you guys talk about to try to eliminate those plays as you get into the stretch road?
Yeah, well, nobody likes to make those, but at the same time, you don't want to curb his aggressiveness and desire to make a play. So, because he made a couple good ones too in there. That's not going to happen very often with him. It happens with every quarterback, but they got to keep firing. I mean, you start getting hesitant, and then everything falls apart on you. So he'll learn from it and move on. It's pretty simple things that he can adjust to fix it. So and that's how he's wired. I mean, he's going to go back and look at it, study it, and go, okay, got it under control. Here we go.
Coach, when he dropped, there's the stat I was looking at. Patrick was 13 of 15 for 148, 2 touchdowns when he was blitzed. Right? They also had times when they're dropping a lot of guys. When they do that, is your offense structured that there's always something for that, or is it that you got to get to a different spot on the play sheet and have the right dial up for when they do that?
Yeah, you hope that it's situated within it. However, there are some things that are better than others. You don't want to get caught in a guessing game. If you have a true hard soul tendency there that they're doing this on this down or this particular part of the field, then you can dial up one of these other plays. But normally your normal plays that we put in for the different areas normally cover that in there somewhere. Yeah.
I know you often come out and say, hey, I got to give him better things. Patrick comes out and says, I got to make better decisions, right? But so it's obviously a joint effort between you guys and the whole staff and everything. But how obviously you get it right more than you get it wrong, right? You're not standing at that podium for this many years if you don't. But how often do you feel like oh wow, they got me? That you just have to tip your cap to the other coach?
Yeah, when I tell you that, I'm kind of tipping my hat to them. There sometimes that's the fun part. It's a chess match, and every once in a while they're going to get you, and you hope you get them more than they get you, and so there's some great minds in this league and good football minds, and so they're going to get you every once in a while.
We're at the latter third of the season. Just, I wonder, with you guys' pursuit of Juju the year prior, just what has he given the offense that perhaps you anticipated on his arrival and perhaps that you didn't anticipate?
Yeah, we were hoping that he could kind of counter Kels. And this offense is best when you can kind of do that. We had Sammy, and then Pringle developed into that as we went. And that's when it rolls the best. And so he's come in and done that and does a nice job with it. So he's got a great feel for the game. He's got great feel in space. And then he's really tough to bring down. I kind of forgot about that part. After he gets that ball in his hands, man, you try to hit him in his lower body, he can shuck it off like a running back, and that's special to have that.
Coach, you mentioned McColl could be back. How did he handle these last 4 weeks behind the scenes, and what are the unique traits maybe you felt like you missed over that stretch?
And we lost a bunch of weight, and so it was a matter of kind of getting that back, but not, with cheeseburgers, right? But get back some good hearty weight and strength, and so he's been working on that. He's been working like crazy on that, and he's going to continue to do that here. He'll do that this week when he's out practicing and doing that. Okay, can we hold the weight and add a little bit to it? So.
Coach, you mentioned throw the records out when you're facing a team that's struggled with wins and losses. They've obviously battled hard. They almost won last week. This is a coach that you've seen in the past, right? What does a Lovie Smith team look like traditionally, and has this team got some of those characteristics?
No, I'm friends with Lovie. I think he's a heck of a guy and a great coach. He came from that Tampa 2 group of coaches that did that, and he's evolved with that and with the way the game is now. So he's going to give you a great defense that plays hard and aggressive, an offense that's tough. I mean, just the fact that they used 2 quarterbacks and platooned them, it wasn't because one wasn't doing well, but they platooned him in, and he's not afraid to do whatever he has to do to win the game. And so that's where the challenge comes in. And his guys play hard for him. So you have to be prepared and ready to go. And in this league, the margin between winning and losing is like that. It's crazy, greater than it's ever been right now. So
your years at BYU overlapped with Mike Leach's, and I'm wondering if you ever came across. I know he didn't play football, but did you come across him? And he was, I guess, sure, working in the office at some point during his career.
Yeah, no, that was before me. I'm a little bit older, but I knew Mike, and a good guy and very creative. He didn't visit here, but he spent some time with us in Philadelphia during training camp a couple different times, and just a good guy. I mean, it's a sad deal. But he left a nice legacy behind him for sure for football, and good. Like I said, very unique. I mean, the story. I love the story he told me about. I said, do you know Donald Trump? We got talking about that. This was years ago, even before Donald was the president. And he goes, oh yeah, I was walking through New York. I saw the tower, went up, introduced myself to him. Like it was no big deal. I mean, he talked himself through. I mean, Donald had security back then too. He talked himself through that, and then Donald found him that kind of personality. I mean, he was just a unique guy, and that's the way he coached, and that's why everybody loved him for that.
You see Patrick something of a descendant? I mean, it was
yeah, sure. Yeah, his coach, played for him, or worked with him for sure. Yeah.
Couple more guys.
Coach, NFL exec Troy Vincent said this morning at the league meeting there would be a, quote, a healthy discussion, end quote, on making roughing the passer either reviewable or challengeable. So the discussions will come up in March at the owners' meeting. How sudden movement to make that roughing the passer penalty reviewable?
I'm gonna hold off on that. Because I'm gonna be in those meetings, so I'm gonna sit on the picket fence on that one.
We'll go Nate and Sam to finish up.
Andy, on another coach, again, we're towards the latter half of the season. I just wonder, with Mike Kafka being an offensive coordinator for the first time, have you had a conversation with him? Have you had time to look at what the Giants have done? Obviously, they're in a playoff push, but just seeing another guy being in that role for the first time under you.
Yeah, we've texted back for it. I mean, we're both busy and cranking away. You don't have a lot of time to have phone calls and that. So, but we have texted, and I think he's done a tremendous job. And they're playing good football, and my hat goes off to him. And Dable too. I mean, Dable was here. You guys know him, and what a great job. That's a tough place. You know, that whole eastern seaboard area, man. That's a great competition right there. So that's I think my hat goes off to those guys. Yeah.
Last one, Sam.
Andy, I'm guessing usually by this time of the year you've got a pretty good idea of where you guys are, but with the secondary being so young, how much are you still learning about the strengths and weaknesses, what you guys can do with that?
Yeah, so you know they're kind of getting through that part of the year where you know the bowl games are starting, the season's over, and now you got another season. So they kind of go through that whole rookie thing, and if they're playing, you know, they have the chance to play, and they're going, man, you know, my body's a little of this, and my mind's a little of this, and I got to power through it, and here we go. So, but I love their attitude. I love the way they compete, and I love the way they're getting better, and it's, you know, early it was leaps and bounds, and now it's, you know, settled down a little bit to where it's smaller jumps, but we're going to be okay there. We just, the attitude's got to stay the way it is, and keep competing and have a short memory when you're back there. That's one thing you have to learn in this league, that you better learn from it, get that in there, and then get the garbage out, and then go compete the next play. Yep. All right.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio in Kansas City, KCSP, Kansas City, WDF, HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
That, of course, was Chiefs head coach Andy Reid. We're going to hear from Patrick Mahomes in just a minute or so from the podium. The big thing at the beginning from Andy Reid had to do with the health of a couple wide receivers. McCole Hardman said they haven't decided whether or not, or determined whether or not he'll play on Sunday. They're going to ease him in, see how he does. He was activated with that 21-day window. He's still on IR. He mentioned he had lost a ton of weight. And so that's also a challenge for McCole Hardman right now, trying to get that back. And then Kadarius Toney, we know, has the hamstring injury, and he's had a good set of practices. But let's go out there again and hear from quarterback Patrick Mahomes.
Obviously, he's a great player, and we know that, and he's had this great run. But if you look at his career, he's just been consistently great every single year. And that tight end position is hard. You take a beating, you're blocking, you're catching over the middle, taking hits, and he just prepares himself the right way that he can be out there and available for us every week. So truly great player and a great teammate for sure.
You feel like those things mean a lot to him?
If they do, he doesn't even make it look like it, because I sit beside him on the plane, and I said something to him about it. He was like, "Oh yeah, man, yeah, it's cool." He's like, all he's worried about is winning, and I think that's what all the great players are worried about. And the stats kind of come, but at the same time, he's just trying to win a lot of football games.
Your coach just basically said that if you do throw an interception, you will spend all week long looking at what you could do different, and review. So after last week's game, what have you kind of seen? Is there any kind of something you found yourself in a pattern, or what you've observed?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just more of me just taking what's there and not trying to force it. If it's not there, throw the ball away, especially when we're in field goal range. And then when I'm trying to dirt the ball, don't leave it where the guy can get his hand underneath it and pick it. So just a couple bad mistakes throughout the game. But when you look at the tape, I thought I played pretty good other than those 3 picks. So just trying to clean those up.
Patrick, I think this is the first time you will play in Texas. I recognize it's quite a bit of distance from where you're from. But still, does that mean anything to you? Do you have extra people coming because of that or anything?
Yeah, I have a couple extra people coming, but yeah, it's the first time I'm playing in the state of Texas, and I went to the Cowboy Stadium my first year, and when we played down there, and didn't get to play, but to get down to Houston, I mean, it's like a 3-hour trip, 3.5-hour trip from Tyler, Texas. So I'm sure there'll be more people than I even know. that are coming down to watch the game. But it'll be cool to kind of see some people and they'll get to see me play in my home state for sure.
How impressed are you with the Andy Reid's play design when it comes to the screen game, and what do you think goes into having such success with that for you guys?
Yeah, I think we just do a great job of tying plays together. I think that's the biggest thing is we make it all look like it's the same, and when he's just really good at calling it, the timing. I mean, it seems like every time he calls a screen, it's on a pressure, and it's called right into it. So it's a thing where the coaches do a great job of designing it and tied it all together, and then Coach Reid does a great job in EB of calling it at the right time whenever it gets open and can get a lot of extra yards.
Patrick, whenever they seem to do a pretty good job of mixing between blitzing and then dropping a lot of guys. I'm curious, within the play designs, like, does every play have, I got a guy I go to if they drop 8, and I got a guy I go to or is there sometimes that, oh wow, we're just kind of screwed. Like we thought they were going to do this and they went the other way, and I don't really have an out here.
Yeah, I mean, most times there's either a guy that I have a hot that I can throw to, or we have guys that can kind of work whenever drop 8 comes. They do a good job of calling those good versus all plays. But I mean, obviously there's sometimes when you call a game plan specific play that you want to get a certain coverage or a certain look, and they might do something that was un-game plan, unscouted. And so they got us a couple times throughout the game, but we did a great job of kind of settling in there and getting to those good versus all plays because we knew that they were doing a little bit of different stuff, especially in the late second quarter, early third.
And against the blitz, I saw a stat, 13 of 15, 2 touchdowns. I mean, that happens a lot when they blitz you. That the numbers, your numbers against that are really good. You're at the end of the game, I can't believe they did that this many times.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard position for a defense to be in. I mean, there was a couple times in the game that I didn't throw the ball where they got sacks because they were blitzing. So whenever defense is trying to give you different looks when you have a talented offense, there's going to be times where they get in a blitz and give up yards. But at the same time, they have to live with that if they're able to make the tackle because then they're hoping they blitz and get negative plays as well.
Patrick, when you're in the moment there with everything, you said after the game, trust me, I know when I messed up and you're kind of hot on the sideline. Talk about the process of trying to calm down when you still got more game to go with Andy and EB and everybody on the sideline there, trying to make sure you just make the right adjustments going forward.
Yeah, you just kind of have to flush it and keep playing. I mean, obviously I knew that those 2 turnovers before half were big. Kind of kept them in the game and got the momentum back on their side. But I think you see me on the sideline, I'm talking to the guys, and I'm saying, we're going to have to score again. We're going to have to put up another touchdown to win this game. And it's about keeping the bigger picture in mind. I mean, obviously it stinks at that time when you throw an interception, but we're still up in the ball game. We still have to find a way to win the game, so how are we going to do that? And that just kind of hit the move on and keep going.
How often is your first read right on that? Like after the game, you pretty much know what you did. When you go back and look at those plays where the interception happened, were you right after the game, or you see something different when you go back and look at tape?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, I thought I could have got to an easier completion instead of trying to force it into Travis. The second one, like I said, I was trying to just dirt the ball. I just threw it too far. I was trying to just not get intentional ground. I'm in the pocket and throw it away kind of behind Sky on the ground, and he makes a great play on it. And then the third one was just I forced it, try to put it in a window that wasn't really there. So you have a good feel for it because you can see it on the tablet and on there on the sideline. But I think what makes you more upset was kind of like the first. I felt like I had other guys open that I could have got the ball to. So that's the only one that I really feel like I made a decision. I could have made a different decision to kind of help the team out.
Patrick, on your third touchdown against Denver, everybody's watching you sort of scramble and obviously extend the play, but what jumped out to you, I guess, in the moment in finding Juju, and then if you're looking at it on the tablet or looking at it on film afterwards, what did you think Juju did well there to stay open for you?
Yeah, he just stayed alive. I mean, he's kind of a guy who's trying to attract people so he can get Travis open, and obviously they dropped right into where he wanted to throw the football. And so instead of just kind of running off and letting the play in, he just kept working, and you could see it, I think, from the back end zone view of he's moving side to side, just trying to find a way to give me a spot to throw the football. And so he got open. I was able to get him the ball in a big moment. But it's going to take that. I mean, not every play is going to be perfect. We're going to have to be able to make some plays whenever the play call isn't perfect. And so I thought he did a great job of continuing to work and not giving up on it.
You never played for Mike Leach, but you kind of did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just want to know what your thoughts on Mike and what kind of influence, I mean, by extension, did he have on you?
Yeah, I mean, a huge influence. I mean, the way that I play the sport, I feel like it fits that scheme very well of just finding good space throughout the field. And even though you might not say you have like that Mike Leach coach in the NFL, I feel like a lot of his schemes and type of how to play is kind of infiltrated the NFL. And so obviously he was Coach Kingsbury. That was his coach. I think I was Leach's first quarterback and influenced him. I learned from Coach Kingsbury, so I think I've learned from Mike Leach himself. So just prayers to his family, man. I mean, obviously a sad deal, but his impact will be known for a long time around the NFL and around college football as well.
You ever get to know him at all?
I didn't get to meet him, but I mean, I knew a lot of people that knew him. I mean, I've worked a little bit with Graham Harrell, who was obviously played with them and coached with them at Washington State. Obviously, Eric Morris, another offensive coordinator I had at Texas Tech, was there. I mean, there's so many people that I've known that have known him and told about the amazing stories I think everybody's heard of the characteristics that he has. But I mean, he loved football and he made a huge impact on the game.
Did you run a similar thing in high school? I mean, everyone in Texas runs some sort of a spread. Some of that went to Tech and some of it came from Tech to everywhere. Were you running that the whole time you were in high school?
Yeah, I ran the exact same offense. My coach in high school went to Texas Tech, so he kind of had that same style of offense. I went on visits there, and I was trying to learn what they were doing to add it into our offense. And so it's a great offense to run, especially when you want to score points. And I wanted to score a lot in high school.
Similarly, did Coach Cook actually play? He was walk-on. At Tech. Did he actually play for Cliff?
I would assume so. I don't even know, honestly, off the top of my head, but I would assume so that he was under that same coaching staff. But if you look at that coaching staff and the players that they had, I mean, there's coaches all around college football that are in that now in the NFL as well. And so, like I said, he made a tremendous impact on the game of football itself. And like I said, prayers to his family on this time.
Patrick McCall will begin his ramp-up process. I guess we'll see about this week. But what do you feel like you maybe missed in that weapon in particular in the offenses?
Yeah, I think getting McCall and KT back will just add another dimension. I mean, obviously they can do the jet sweeps and stuff like that, but just adding that speed to the field, it makes teams have to honor it. And obviously Marquez has done a great job of filling that role, and so has Scott. But just to continue to add speed to any offense like that those two guys have, I think it'll open up everybody else because you have to really account for those two guys on every play.
Sam?
Patrick, when you mentioned earlier, you go back and look at one of those interceptions that somebody else is open. How often does that happen throughout a game when it doesn't result in an interception, even if it's a completion? I mean, I'm guessing that's a handful of times.
Yeah, for sure. And that's stuff you try to just continue to kind of log in your memory to try to find that open guy whenever it's there. I mean, if you look at the one I tried to over the middle to Travis, I felt like I had Marquez kind of popping at the end of that play. And so I had seen him early, he was covered, and I thought that the backside corner was going to fall off, and he didn't. So it's just I got to continue to stay throughout my reads and learn from them so that I don't give up and I can hit those big plays when they're there.
Patrick, just one quick thing about the Texans. The record really isn't something that everybody's jumping up and down about, but a Lovie Smith team. Is there anything that you look at that you want to be concerned about or focus on?
Yeah, I mean they're well coached. I mean they play hard. They're well coached. Obviously, Lovie's done a lot of great things in the league, and so it just you got to go in there with the mentality you have to play your best football. I think you saw last week. I mean they played a great football team in the Cowboys, and they were down there where they probably should have won. So in this league, you can take no one for granted. I mean those are NFL players. They have a lot of talented young guys that play really hard, and we understand it'll be a great challenge for us. So we're going to go out there and play our best football to win.
Thank you.
All right, that's quarterback Patrick Mahomes at the end talking about the Houston Texans, who the Chiefs are 14-point favorites over on Sunday.
Great team,
the
tons of talent,
the Texans team that will
well-coached.
not have Pierce, their talented running back, and it looks like Brandon Cook's likely not going to play as well for the team currently.
Can you
in line
name
for the number
one other player on the
the guy
Texans'
that actually had
current
a really
offense?
more, the wide receiver actually had his career high game.
What's his
against the
first
Cowboys.
name?
Chris or Charlie, one of the two. Can't remember. Something like that. They have a tight end, Jordan Akins, I think.
I don't think it's Charlie Moore. Didn't he play at Kansas for one season?
That's that guy, yeah.
Same guy?
No, definitely not the. Let's go back out there and hear from Justin Reid, his former team. He's going to go up against.
It's a fun game for me personally to go back and be in the atmosphere that I began my career in.
How the organization's different. Houston to Kansas City. I'm not asking you to speak ill of your previous employer, but just what do you come in here and you go, okay, this is what they're doing here.
Well, the clearest difference is right now the Texans are still in a little bit of a rebuilding stage, and Kansas City is in the middle of a championship run. So the pieces are a little bit better put together at this moment in time, although Casario and Lovie Smith, I'm sure, do a great job rebuilding that culture and building the Texans back up again.
Justin, with the secondary, I know it's been some up and downs going on there, especially with Denver. What's the conversations been like to try to improve as you get into the stretch run for you guys?
Yeah, to take a step back, look at the big picture, and really focus on ourselves. Not so much what other teams have been doing, but how can we get better each and every day at our technique and really tighten up the defense so that those leaky yardage plays, like the screen play, just eliminate those from our game. Because as we know in the NFL football, in the National Football League, plays that you get and you let up like that, you're going to tend to see them again until we prove that we can stop them.
Specifically with the cornerbacks, though, I know in the safety you're talking to them, but specifically with them, they're young. I mean, they're at the point where they'd be preparing for college bowl games now. So, what has it been like them seeing them trying to just make sure they still keep up and ramp up? Because they know your stretch run now, the NFL is a lot different than their stretch run that they before.
And the games will continue to get faster, especially as we start approaching January. The games will start to get faster. Still give a lot of credit to them. They're young guys and came in. We put a lot on their plate. I mean, to have 2, 3, 4 rookies sometimes on the field playing 30, 40, 60 snaps a game, that's not an easy task, especially with the defense that we run. But they've been up to the challenge, and each week they've gotten a little bit better. You're going to have ups and downs in the National Football League. That's how the league goes. Opposing offenses have some firepower too, but overall, you've seen that they've grown both mentally and following the defense and also their technique-wise. And as things go up and down, this trend is still heading upward. So we're going to need them to come through, and I expect and I'm confident in them to still come through for us as this stretch continues to go down the road.
Justin, you kind of hinted at this. I mean, you do feel maybe at 27-0, you guys are getting stops, the offense is going up and down the field, that maybe there was kind of an exhale and a little bit of a letdown that kind of opened the door?
Yeah, and it's still a divisional matchup, so the Denver Broncos are never one to go down easy, especially when you're playing inside of the division. But I think there's still a lot of lessons to be taken from that. I mean, you've seen upsets happen across the league. We were able to come out of that one still with the win. But still to take that with us going forward, that when we have a team in that position, really keep our foot on the pedal and not allow it to even become close.
I know everyone's on scholarship, right? Like even if they're not having the season they want to have, they're good players. Good coaches.
All it takes is a swing of momentum.
Right. Did they make an adjustment there at the end of the first half? I know because your offense then I think had a quick 3 and out, and you guys had to get right back out there. So if they made a change, you didn't have a lot of time to maybe look at the tablets and do all that.
Yeah. Russell started hurting us a little bit more with his legs. Started scrambling a little bit more, and let's not sleep on Russell Wilson and the type of player that he is. It isn't his best year right now, but he's still a Super Bowl champion, Walter Payton Man of the Year, and a very high caliber quarterback. So once he got his footing underneath him, he was able to do some damage to us. But like I said earlier, you guys got to use that as a learning lesson and continue to move forward and focus on ourselves as we approach the Houston Texans.
Justin, you played with Davis Mills last year and also Driscoll. Give us a scouting report on those guys. What do you think about those two guys?
Yeah, they have a unique 1-2 combo. Davis Mills, a little bit more of the pocket passer. Guy is very, very accurate whenever he's able to get comfortable in the pocket and deliver balls on rhythm timing. And Jeff Driscoll, I kind of liken him to Taysom Hill, a guy who can get gritty, a lot of quarterback option, physical runner, good speed. So they got a good 1-2 punch there that they're trying to work.
Any more difficulty than normal knowing you preparing for the two guys?
Well, yeah, you're preparing for two different quarterbacks, so a lot of focus ends up being who's the guy under center, and that changes the way they're going to play a little bit.
You mentioned, Mr. Ernest, and I'm not saying bad about the Texans or their organization, but when you were there as a young player, felt like they were getting into those championship years, and how quickly things can kind of fall apart. Is that a lesson learned for you to just not say, it's just going to be like this forever, and you guys have to stay on it all the time?
Yeah, well, the NFL, the system of the NFL is built for teams to be 8-8 teams, with the draft position, with the way that the waiver claims work and everything like that. It's also a lesson in just how fast things can turn around, going from a 12-4 team to a team that's 4-12. Every year is different in the NFL. Credit to the coaching staff and the core group of guys that are here in the Kansas City Chiefs that we've been able to sustain less for a number of years now. That is by no means easy at all. There's a huge amount of credit that goes up to Clark Hunt and all the way down that tree from there. But the NFL changes very quickly. I mean, Miami has turned itself around from a team now struggling to now a team that is doing very well. And that's the same thing that can happen over there.
Justin, you guys have gotten some picks recently with the backers and the key pick from Snead at the end of the game this past game. Is there an emphasis right now behind the scenes of ball hawk type of mentality, and how does that maybe shift a little bit, as you try to carry that into the secondary?
Yeah, we've been putting a higher emphasis on takeaways, however we can get them, interceptions, forced fumbles. There hasn't been enough so far in the season, but the positivity is that hopefully we're just saving them for this last stretch in December, January, February, and we can get them all now.
Justin, that first play of the game, did you tip the ball that went off Trent's?
Yeah, I did get a hand on it.
You got a hand on it?
Yeah, I'm going to change the directory slightly.
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm curious. Thanks.
What's last two, sorry?
Talking about the turnovers, Pete was just asking, you remember when you were a young player and you got young corners back there. There are a number of plays where maybe they've gone for a reception or a touchdown or something, but your guys are there, but maybe they're not getting their head around. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the
that's just an experience thing, and as you play in the league longer, your confidence level continues to build up. And then honestly, you start seeing route concepts a lot more because the game changes from college to the NFL. But once you get used to the coaching and the style of offenses NFL teams run, you start to learn how teams want to attack us. First, you get our defense down, and then once you really feel confident in our defense, you can start noticing patterns on how teams like to attack us. You start being able to predict plays, and when you get in those situations, you have a little bit higher level of confidence to turn around and make the play.
When did that hit for you? I guess I'll say you can start predicting plays. 8 games in, second year, third year.
It's different for every player. Guys come along at different speeds. For me personally, it was probably about the midway point. It's really after I got the first one. My first pick, I think, was Dallas. Might have been Dallas or Washington. I remember which one was first. But then after that, once you get one, they come in bunches. Ended up getting 2 more that year.
Justin, you said a minute ago you guys were emphasizing forcing some fumbles and getting some picks. How do you do that? How do you emphasize that? What can you do to sort of speed that process along, so to speak?
First and foremost is practice habits. In practice, if it doesn't happen in practice, it's not going to just magically start happening in the game. So we've been harping on it, really have a focus on getting our head across, getting physical, punching the ball out, that type of stuff. And then in the game, you just got to follow through with it. You just can't let your coaching and your training go by the wayside when you get to the game situation. Obviously, in opportunities where you got to make the tackle and secure it first. But when the opportunity is there that the tackle is secure and you have a chance to rip at the ball, we need to do that a little bit more.
That's Chief Safety Justin Reid. He'll be going up against his old team, the Houston Texans, on Sunday. A lot there at the end about turnovers. It's something we certainly have discussed multiple times with this team. It's one thing when you're not turning people over, but now your offense for 8 straight games now, I guess it is, you continue to turn the football over. In this game, you had 3. So that puts more emphasis on needing to get the takeaways if your offense is going to continue to struggle to give away the football. And you clearly can tell that's something that they're trying to emphasize. I think that has to happen for this team to advance in the postseason. I mean, I really I don't think they can go through and beat
Correct.
Cincinnati and Buffalo in back-to-back weeks, and you tell me that the Chiefs didn't force a turnover. Or
they're -4 in turnovers.
Now look,
or -2.
a huge help would be
not turning
don't turn over the
maybe
football.
then sure
Don't do that. I think it goes without saying. Clearly, it sounds like though it is something they're obviously well aware of and trying to really key in on, and maybe that is one thing out of the Broncos game. Of course, they got the win, but defensively there's a lot of frustration. But you got the ball. You got the 6 sacks, and you got the football a couple times, and one was a pick 6, a great play by Willie Gay. Maybe that is something that can springboard. I thought it was interesting how he specifically talked about the young guys though, and he said because the question was essentially how long does it take to where you're in the league to where maybe you start to recognize the turnaround and recognize the routes more, and therefore be able to try to get not just worry about matching up, but go and get that ball, go and get the turnover.
Not trying to just cover the guy.
Yeah,
but.
And I think Justin, he first it sounded like he was about to say halfway through, but then he just said once you got to get the first one. If you're a Trent McDuffie, if you're a Jalen Watson, of course Jalen Watson got the pick 6 in week 2 against the Chargers, a huge pick. But maybe it's one of those where is that the hope that as the season continues that the young guys, or is that a next year thing?
I actually don't rule that out. I don't think that people can't get better at turning it over sometimes, but I also think that people are just to me, that is a skill that you just either have or you don't. Ball hawking skills are just you have it or you don't. It doesn't seem to me that there are a lot of secondary players, Gold, who just learn it. So Marcus Peters walked into the league and just took the ball. and I understand that he's a different caliber of player than the 7th-round rookie I am currently comparing him to, which is an unfair standard. But it's just Justin Reid's actually kind of a perfect example of this. Justin Reid has been in the league. He knows the routes. He knows where people are going. He doesn't take the football from anybody. He's never been a turnover guy. Doesn't mean he can't do a good job. Over the last 3 weeks, he's only been targeted 3 times. He's only allowed 2 catches. He's missed some tackles and some of the other, but in coverage, he's been good. Doesn't mean he's got the ball, does he?
Yeah, he's a different type of safety than he's not a ball hawking safety, which is fine, but you need other guys then to be able to do that. And maybe we'll find out as time goes on. Maybe that is something that Trent McDuffie can be for this team. But they certainly could use it on this defensive side of the ball if this offense is going to continue to have some of the issues turning over the football. I mean, that's where it has to start. I know so much of the conversation this week on this show even has been about the defense, but that's what has to get cleaned up. Honestly, even as much as you want the takeaways, like you cannot turn the ball over multiple times in a football game.
No,
in the playoffs. Plain
it
and
is
simple.
why. Honestly, it defies all logic that a team who is bottom 5 in turnover differential is 10-3. That is not supposed to happen in the NFL. It's not supposed to be plausible. The other part with Reid and Mahomes both mentioning it, because that's the thing that I'm still waiting for on the injury stuff. The McColl injury is fascinating to me. I agree with Mahomes that they can stretch the field more. There's more availability to them. Having Tony McColl back can help them in the red zone and all these other things that come with it. But the fact that Andy's like, I lost a bunch of weight. He's got to put all that weight back on. They called an injury, then an illness. I'm like, what the hell's going on here with McColl? Did he have surgery? Did he have like it's hard for me to imagine that somebody who just, let's say, had an abdominal strain, cold, lost a bunch of weight. That feels more illness feels more right in that, doesn't it?
Yeah, like we don't know, but yes, if you're talking about weight loss involved, it's not just like there's a strain or something. It sounds like again, it's pure speculation. Yeah, it makes you wonder if there was some sort of procedure or surgery or something that ultimately.
Oh, by the way,
needed.
they could choose to end the speculation by just simply stating out loud what the injury actually is. So I don't feel that bad about speculating.
Well,
I was like, you could just tell me.
I think we'll know if McColl talks again in a week or so. Whenever he gets fully activated again, he's able to practice. But when he gets fully activated from IR, therefore is about to play in a game, or maybe won't know until plays in. Maybe that's when we'll get some sort of answer. But it is kind of interesting that nothing has come out with that. But yeah, I'm with you that it seems like there had to have been some sort of procedure or something that took place if you're talking about him losing a lot of weight, and that's something he needs to pick back up.
I mean, maybe it's like a really intense bug and tapeworm. I don't know, whatever. But it just feels like something was going on. Jed's just shaking his head.
Now we're going really deep. Now we're going.
Jed, was I not supposed to mention tapeworms? Was that frowned upon?
I mean, I didn't see anything. Nick didn't leave any notes specifically about that, but I'd prefer it if you could save that for when he's back behind the glass. I'd appreciate it.
Jed Marshall in for Nick Short for the next 8 shows or so as Nick is on his way to Germany, although I don't know why Nick is busy tweeting about the NCAA. They don't care about the NCAA in Germany, man. Just enjoy Germany. Yeah.
Do you even think Nick's really going? Like, if you're tweeting about the NCAA and you're getting ready to go to Germany, what the hell's the matter with you?
In fairness, I do think he actually is still in the United States as of right this second. I think
he won't be overseas until later.
Yeah, I think he flew this morning to Denver, and he's flying out of Denver later on this afternoon.
Are we worried by letting people know that Nick will be out of the country for many days, that we're opening him up to burglars?
He lives in an apartment complex.
We didn't give out his address.
Yeah, he doesn't have. We didn't give out his address, and even more difficult when he lives in the complex. He's like, good luck figuring out exactly.
If I left out of the country for 10 days, would you house sit for me? Would you watch my house?
Here's why I would say no. Here's why.
Why?
Because
you have a nice house.
So
Thanks,
it has nothing
Jed.
to do with your house. Not because you're not. If you lived within 10 minutes of me, yeah, I'm not going to drive 30 minutes.
But you just live there for a little bit.
I have a dog.
The dog can come.
I'd be worried my dog would, even though she doesn't destroy my stuff, I'd be worried she would get into something at your house and ruin something, and I'd feel awful and it'd be a mess.
That's on me. I'm taking the risk.
Well, no, it'd probably be on me. It'd probably be on me at that point. She'd probably love the backyard. You have a fence?
Fence, yep.
Yeah, she'd love that.
Run around?
30 minutes or 30-minute drive, so you're just saying just stay there.
Just stay there. You're house sitting. Yeah, that implies like staying there. You can sleep in the bed. You can eat. I'll put food in the fridge. I'll put beer in the
Provide
fridge.
some great content, though.
I don't want to sleep in your bed. If I could sleep in a guest room, I
What about
definitely
one of the
would.
kids' beds? Is that fine?
Those seem too small.
No, they have queen size mattresses.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Must be nice.
Yeah, man. Wow. Okay. I didn't get a queen size bed until I was out of the house.
So
my feet were. I'm serious. Like even in high school, my feet were hanging off the damn bed because I didn't have a queen bed until I left.
We got offered a free box spring and a bed frame at some point. I was like, yeah, screw it. They can just have queen size mattresses. I don't care.
Coming up next, we'll talk with Josh Klingler, Chief Sideline reporter for the Chiefs Radio Network, of course, host of Fesco in the Morning. We'll get his thoughts on a couple of things that Andy said, and I do want to ask Kling about the Royal Stadium project. Of course, one of the community events took place last night. We'll get Kling's feel on what John Sherman had to say in regards to that project next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gant Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gant Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Subscribe and download all new episodes of Nick's Waving in the Wheat podcast, released every Thursday on the 435 Podcast Network and the Odyssey app.
How hectic is your morning routine right now? Maybe you're trying to get the kids to school, you're packing lunches, then you've got to make sure you're set up for your work day as well. What if I told you could save at least a couple of minutes each and every morning if you could not have to deal with the hassle of making sure you have your contact solution when you're traveling for work? Because maybe you don't need contacts anymore. Maybe you don't need to worry about your glasses anymore. That can be a reality if you call my friends over at Dury Vision. That's because about 18 months ago, I made a phone call and found out that I was a candidate for SBK Advanced LASIK. After using glasses or contacts for much of my life, I just don't have to worry about that anymore. It's nice not having to spend the money on the contacts and the contact solution. It's nice not having to worry about my glasses in the summertime if I'm by the pool, if in the wintertime the glasses are fogging up as I'm going into stores because it's cold outside. All that is over thanks to Dury Vision, and you can find out if you can see without those glasses and contacts by calling Dury Vision at 913-491-3330. Or go online to duryvision.com and tell them Gold from 610 sent you.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, we are here. Here for spring fevers and lowering fevers. Here for first checkups and first dances. Here for planting seeds and growing communities. For more than 80 years, Blue KC has been here for good and will be here for the moments that matter, today and tomorrow. Because at Blue KC, we are here for good. Learn more at hereforgoodkc.com.
Dig into savings with a new Bobcat excavator. For limited time only, Bobcat is offering 0% financing for 24 months on all new Bobcat compact excavators. While the weather's cold, the deals are hot. To rent or own, call or visit KC Bobcat in Blue Springs, Olathe, or Tracy. See your selection at kcbobcat.com. Offer expires December 31st, 2022.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Sign Then Drive is back at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Lease any new 2023 Volkswagen for $0 down, $0 security deposit, and 0 payments for 4 months during Sign Then Drive. There's nothing down on any new Volkswagen at Volkswagen Lease Summit, and no payments until March of 2023. Simply sign, then drive away with your favorite VW. Plus, we have used cars in all makes and models, and you can sign and drive on any of those too. Pay nothing out of pocket and nothing for 4 months when you buy a used car from Volkswagen Lease Summit this month. When we say 0, we mean 0. Are you in a lease and wish you'd bought? Or bought a car and wish you'd leased? Is your interest rate too high? Do you owe more than your car's worth? Bring your car to Volkswagen Lease Summit and we'll buy your car for its original base MSRP, deducting only for mileage, manufacturer incentives, and any damage. Upgrade your ride during Sign Then Drive today. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com for details. Trade offer for 2012 and newer. Excludes Highlines. Financing through VCI OAC. See dealer for details.
Take a break from the hustle and bustle of the holidays and come into Center Fire Shooting Sports. We have a safe, family-friendly, climate-controlled range. Bring your friends and relatives in for an experience to remember. You can even knock off some of your shopping list with gift cards, range passes, shooting experiences, and more. We've got everything you need for the sportsman in your life. Center Fire Shooting Sports, Kansas City's premier indoor shooting range. Visit centerfireshootingsports.com for more information. That's centerfireshootingsports.com.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
but you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Old Shawnee Pizza has a Smoked Holiday Wednesday BOGO special. Buy any medium one-topping pizza and get the second medium one-topping pizza free. Call or go online today to ShawneePizza.com to order for pickup, delivery, or eat in. Old Shawnee Pizza, 2 locations, Shawnee and Lenexa.
Kansas City Steak Company, another AmericanEagle.com success story. Started in 1932 as a family-owned butcher shop, today they're a leading distributor of superior all-American steaks delivered right to your door, ready for the grill and your taste buds. When it came to their website, an average site wouldn't do. They chose AmericanEagle.com to take their website to the next level. With a dramatic increase in competition and a softening market demand, they had 2 challenges: improve their brand presence and message, and produce a positive return. AmericanEagle.com got to work and executed usability studies and detailed audits of site experience, digital assets, and marketing. The result? An integrated digital marketing and customer experience plan, organic traffic increase of 20%, and a long-term roadmap for success. If you love great steaks, go to KansasCitySteaks.com for website design, development, and online solutions that bring efficiency and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. If you need a results-driven website, call the team at AmericanEagle.com at 877-WEBNOW1. That's 877-WEBNOW1.
New Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave on there, and around there, and even under there. Don't treat your groin like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at Walmart.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This hour of Chiefs coverage is brought to you by IHOP.
One long wintry night, we put hot cinnamon apples on top of the thickest and fluffiest French toast available at IHOP. Try our new thick and fluffy ginger snap apple French toast today. Part of our holiday menu. Let's put a smile on your plate for a limited time at participating locations.
All right, back here on Cody and Gold. We'll get to the random question of the day in about 8 minutes or so. Let's talk some more Chiefs football, though, with Josh Klingler, who, of course, will be on the sidelines in Houston this Sunday afternoon. Another noon game. I know Kling loves the fact that it's another noon game. I also suggest you go get a Lil Nympha's and get some amazing fajitas down in Houston. The best fajitas you'll ever have. I definitely suggest you do that. You're also, like myself, co-champion of our Survivor League.
Lame. Co-champions, lame.
Yeah, not my decision, but we are co-champs. Congrats, Kling.
Yeah, I will channel Bill Self, who once said, nobody likes sharing, but they've had to share the Big 12 title before. It still does count, I guess, even though. So I am counting it as a back-to-back, even though it is a co-championship.
So I think this is lame. I think the K-State doing a trophy tour for the Big 12 championship is lame.
Oh, I like that. I thought that was fun. Go take that out to your fans. I like that.
Yeah, see, this was we were talking about this before the show. I said, look, I'm sure if KU won a Big 12 football championship, they do a tour for the trophy
I'd make fun
as well.
of them too.
I get it. I have no problem. I really don't. As much as I would love to find a way to be upset about it, no, I don't have a problem with the
There'd
trophy
be more
tour.
of a chance I'd see the trophy if they brought it to me, if I was a fan, than if, hey, the next time I'm in Manhattan, I got to try to go to the lobby of the stadium or whatever. Go get a picture at a bar in
if you live
wherever,
in Colby, Kansas, you may not be able to make your way to Manhattan.
Yeah, I liked it.
It's a Big 12.
You're a hater, Cody. You're just
They're
a hater.
not even the best team in the Big 12.
Well,
that team's in the college football playoffs.
They won the Big 12 title, though, man.
It's a trophy. I don't know.
All right, Kling.
If they did this for basketball, would you think it was a school?
For which school?
Any school. K-State won a Big 12.
I bet you if K-State basketball won the Big 12 title, they would, yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Anyway, Kling, let's get back to the real stuff.
When Kansas is doing their barnstorming tour in the summer, I mean, I'm guessing when you bring, I'd bring that national championship trophy everywhere we went.
That is a very different trophy, Kling. I am all. That is a very different trophy. The same as
so
with
you
the
have
Royals.
levels of trophy.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I don't think trophy parade, driving it around in a bus, is not worthy of Big 12 championship. I think it's got to be a real championship.
I don't know. I'd probably drive the Sunflower Showdown trophy around. I don't know.
I just wondered. Cody's the UMKC guy. If you
have no trophies.
If you won the Summit League that you guys are in these days,
correct.
If you won would they take it to Waldo? They take it to different neighborhoods. Is that what
I sure as heck would.
Yeah.
If I were UMKC, I'd do anything to probably promote myself at that point.
I think you're just a hater. All right, Kling. The Chiefs are taking on the Texans. We don't really need to talk about the Texans, okay? They're the worst team in football.
Right.
We don't need to do that. But the Chiefs themselves, we heard from Andy that McCole Hardman at least is going to start practicing. And then Kadarius Toney continues to be practicing. Cody thinks that we haven't seen like the best offense because those guys haven't been around. I just don't what's the next level. I think in the red zone, McCole helps them, but is there another level to this offense?
Can he be the downfield threat still? I don't know if they have I think they want to take some shots down the field, and they've tried it a few times with MVS. I don't know. Can it be more successful with McCole Hardman? I'd like to see that aspect of it. Getting back, two receivers and then eventually CEH. I mean, that's some nice reinforcements to have down the stretch. So hopefully those come to fruition. In terms of McCole Hardman, he was on the sidelines last week, and that was good news because I hadn't seen him around. And so to have him around the team last week, I thought was a pretty good sign that he was really, really close. So hopefully he's able to go today. Kadarius Toney, to me, I don't know. I feel like we're back in the camp the day he was acquired, and we were all saying, "Hey, wait till next year, wait till next year." But he did give you a little tease of a couple things, and then got hurt again. So I'm not expecting a ton from that. But if he can work himself back in, and he gives you that ability to go throw the ball up, that gives you a different aspect. And then, while I don't have a specific use for CEH right now, as well as the two running backs are going, you always need more running backs, right? And you don't foresee it at this point in time. Could you ease the load on Pacheco down the stretch before the playoffs? I don't think anybody would argue with that. The kid runs so hard, you're like, okay, let's not completely burn him out. So I think that you got an aspect of this offense to get some pieces back for the stretch run, which I think are pretty cool.
I just kind of like the idea that if at no point this season have we seen the way they want to operate on offense with the full complement now. So a 1-2 punch of Pacheco and McKinnon, a wide receiver unit that includes Juju, Toney, McCole, Justin Watson, MVS, all on the field at the same time together. Like, I don't know that at any point this year, Kling, we've had that all at once, and I feel like we're a week and a half, because I don't know that McColl's playing this week, but I feel like we're not far off from maybe seeing what it can look like if there really are 8 guys on the football field you could throw to at any one time.
Yeah, because they probably run more, like 3 tight end packages based on availability of people than they ever intended. So can you get back to what you wanted to do? I think they've done a great job of working with whoever's there. But yeah, it probably wasn't the ideal. Here's how you draw it up. Here's what we'd like to have. Everybody's available, and here's the playbook type of game. And maybe you get one of those coming up here shortly.
Kling, maybe you never lost it, but is there something the defense can do to kind of re-earn your trust? We were back and forth on this a little bit, and I think for me, it's like they can just prove to be dominant in something or significantly improved. Even against bad opponents, I'll take it. You can be a much better red zone scoring team on defense. You can get turnovers. Show me something you haven't shown me yet, and I can still have a little bit of faith going into this postseason that they can slow down an elite offense enough to get them a win.
I think it's still sacking the quarterback, and yeah, if you could create more turnovers, this hasn't been a good turnover producing team thus far, and maybe they won't get enough credit if they do even down the stretch because you're playing bad football teams. So maybe, but I think those things get contagious, and so go ahead and start turning people over. And then to me, it's just be consistent up front with the pass rush. Give your guys on the back end a break. Make sure that Chris Jones and Frank Clark, they just need to get on the same page too. If there was something that came out of last week, in my observances on the sideline, was that there were a lot of mad defenders last week, and I thought, boy, this was a game where they were all ticked off at one another. They were probably ticked off at the coaches, it didn't look very cohesive when things started to slide last week. And so it's getting back on the same page and making sure everybody's going in the same direction. And then that starts, as it always has, it starts up front. Be consistent up front, be a menace up front, and the rest of the defense takes care of itself. Also, I guess I would like to see I don't know if Nick Bolton hit a wall per se, because he's still like the leading tackler, but the last few weeks he hasn't been as like visible to me. And I'm like, okay, was he going through? I know he was dealing with a bit of a groin injury, and maybe he's a little more injured than he had than anybody had let on. But I'd love to see him be fresher for them for the end of the season.
But I meant to ask you earlier when we were talking about McCole, what is your working theory for what the illness was? My current guess is tapeworm.
I don't know, but it was something that, heard he lost a bunch of weight, and obviously he's not big. So I was hard to tell last week. I saw him for the first time last week.
I'm going appendix.
It could be something like that, and then some kind of infection that came out of that. I don't know. But whatever it was, he lost weight. And I couldn't tell last week when I saw him because I saw him in street clothes because he's skinny anyway. Like, he's not a big dude, so it's hard to tell. Like, there's some people, like, you could tell if Chris Jones lost weight. You definitely could tell when Frank Clark lost weight, or a lineman where you're like, oh, that guy was sick, and boy, you couldn't tell with McCole Hardman, but I'd been told that there was a lot of weight loss, and so he doesn't have a lot of pounds. He's one of the few that you're like, could you stack on some more pounds? You don't say that a lot around football teams, but he's the one where he could stand to. I mean, maybe because we're on he was on the charter plane last week. He ate a whole bunch of like hamburgers and he eat like 14 meals on that thing. Maybe they had him travel last week to beef him back up.
Yeah, Andy joked today. He's like, yeah, we're trying to get the weight on. He's like, not eating a bunch of cheeseburgers, but we definitely need to get him some healthy weight back on him quickly.
He could probably do that, though. I mean, he's of that, he's of that fine-tuned athlete where he could eat a bunch of cheeseburgers just to put on weight, and he'd be just fine.
Just get him one of those candy canes full of gummy bears or whatever. Like, you're eating all of these all the time until you put some weight back on.
Now my interest is I'm definitely there when it comes to the charter flight, Kling. What is the food? Do you get some food on there? What's the food like?
Oh, if I ate everything that they passed by me, I'd be 300 pounds. I mean, it's
wow.
It's
like
ridiculous.
Willy Wonka or something. It's like
it is. It's pretty shameful. I don't know how much everybody else eats, but I'm always going, no thanks, and I love to eat, so I'm like,
no thanks, Kling.
Well, you can't eat everything.
No. Okay, listen.
It's like going like Fogo de Chao is what it sounds like. It's like there's just
it is exactly that. Okay, so you walk on the plane. There's a tray full of hamburgers, cheeseburgers, or chicken sandwiches, usually from Red Robin. So you can have that, and that's your app on the way in. I'm not joking.
Okay,
like a burger app.
It's like a pre-sandwich before the meal.
Correct. And then you sit down, and then they say, "Is there anything you'd like to drink?" And there's already a couple drinks in your seat back thing, right? And so I'll have a Coke Zero or whatever. And then they come by and they have a tray of like crackers and cheese, and then they have a tray of like fruit, and then they have a tray that's got like Uncrustables and granola bars, and then they got a tray that's got like gummy bears, and then they got a tray that's got like chocolates, and they just keep throwing stuff at you. You're like,
this flight to Denver was what, an hour? An hour and 15 minutes?
Then they come through and they say, well, would you like a warm meal? And I'm like, yes. And then there's a list that'll have like a steak with rice pilaf and some broccoli florets, and then you can have a pasta, or you can have a chicken, or you can have, it's like a regular like a hot meal. And then they come back through again with more like snacks. And then at some point there's like Dove bars.
Goodness.
And then when you leave the plane, all the flight attendants are like, make sure you take some snacks on the way out. It's like, oh my God, I'm so full. There's no possible way I could. Like, oh, fine. Here's a Reese's peanut butter cup for the road. It's like it's ridiculous.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. The flights to Denver is like an hour and 15 minutes. I get this charter next year to Germany or something. I get it. Load up. Yeah. You got hours and hours.
No, this is every. Unreal. And then and that's on the way there. And the way back is the same thing, except for you. If you want, you can get another meal at the stadium before you ever get on the bus. Because there'll be some like local fare that they've,
in fairness, this might all be
with that comes in east.
This might all be for the offensive line, because we were at a Boulevard dinner with Creed Humphrey and the entire offensive line. And
they can eat.
The amount of barbecue they could put down was impressive.
Yeah. But for the mere mortal, it's a little much. So yeah, usually it's like pick my spot. Am I going to either have the cheeseburger or I'm going to have a hot meal? And then maybe I'll have a piece of cheese this time, but next time I'm getting the M&Ms. It's like you got to pick and choose. It's like ridiculous, and you're like, no, seriously, I've had enough.
Just get the steak every time on the flight, man. Just get the steak. Get the hearty steak on the flight there and the flight back.
Well, I mean, it is a plain steak, so I mean, it's not like no offense. I mean, that's not Plaza 3 or something.
You watch the guy cook it down at Ruth Chris.
It's they're heating it up in the microwave in the back. I mean, it's not. But it's a lot of food. So Mecole Hardman, if he did his, if he stayed awake, there's a good chance he put on a whole bunch of weight last week.
Good.
So hopefully he'll be ready.
All right, Kling. We'll have a safe trip. Enjoy the food on the flight down to Houston.
Go France.
Yes. Okay, that too. That's coming up in about 15 minutes. That's Josh Klingler, Chief Sideline Reporter for the Chiefs Radio Network. Of course, you hear him on Fesco in the morning tomorrow, 6 a.m. Man, I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Of course, they have good for Kling, man. Good for Kling. Living the life on the flights, the sideline.
It really sounds like Willy Wonka. Like he's just describing incredible. Here's a bevy of food, or like Hunger Games.
I'm sure Nick's flight to Germany later today, the exact same. I'm sure first class seats. I'm sure they're asking him whatever he wants the whole flight to Germany. What do you say? It's a 15-hour flight?
No, he didn't say it was 15 hours. I think he said it was like 8, 10.
10 probably sounds about right.
I think it was more in that range.
Someone says Plaza 3 Ruth's Chris no longer exists here. That's true. I love me some Ruth's Chris back in the day, man.
I don't think I've ever.
They had one in Boise. Honestly. I had a nice deal set up with Ruth's Chris in Boise, man. I had basically every month, man. I had like $300 to Ruth's Chris. It was incredible.
The arrogance on this show.
It was It was.
Look at the way they just talk. I'm on my charter. I had $300 with a Ruth Chris every
Whatever
month.
You were talking about your kids having queen-size beds.
Does that make them spoiled?
Oh yeah.
No, the Ruth's Chris one was one of the best things
ever. When's the first time you got
ever.
a bed that wasn't a twin?
I told you.
High school? You said college.
Yeah, but technically those ones in college, like in the dorm rooms, those weren't big. Those were
probably twin too.
Yeah, I didn't get my own queen bed until after college, man.
That's tough living, man.
I was like 14, but I was spoiled. I grew up in Johnson County.
See,
I grew up in Joco. Still live in Joco.
Maybe you could have had a full size if you just asked, or queen size if you just asked.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
They didn't even ask. I just gave it to them. Like, here, fine. Enjoy this large bed.
Spoiled kids, Spoiled kids. Let's get to the random question today.
Random question.
This has nothing to do with spoiling your kids.
Someone says it's Nick in first class to Germany. Might as well be.
Don't know.
We really don't know.
Someone's
actually.
like, that's easily $15,000 calories per flight. You're like, yeah, probably.
Oh, all the
Being
stuff.
like Michael Phelps in the middle of his Olympic run just to get through a single meal on that thing. The random question of the day brought to you by the window source of Kansas City. For you, Gold. For you, Jed, over on the J Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7610. We're actually having a conversation last night at the bar that brings me to the random question. And all the toys lined up so we can get them for the Boys and Girls Club. And a lot of people brought board games. I brought a couple, and there were several other people who brought board games. And Nick and I went back and forth a little bit about the ones that got played the most in our house. So that's my question today. What are the 2 or 3 board games that got worn out in your house? What are the ones you guys played the most? I know we're probably choosing from about, and look, by the way, I think like games like Connect 4 can be included. Let's use board game pretty generically here.
I was thinking just boards, but okay.
Nah, but like let's use board game pretty generically here. What are the games?
Easy.
Those type of games that got used top 2, 3 in your house the most?
No hesitation here. Life and Monopoly. Life and Monopoly were the two that by far were
a lot
the
of
most,
Life.
Yeah,
huh?
Life.
That's not in my top 3.
Yeah, Life.
Monopoly is.
Yeah, Life and Monopoly as far as the ones that were played the most for sure. Monopoly and Life. Yep. Not even, yeah.
When
Life,
can I start playing
Life.
Monopoly with my kids? 6 is too young.
Well, they have a Kansas City Monopoly. You saw that came out now? Kansas City has its own Monopoly. I haven't played that one, but Kansas City has its own Monopoly.
It'd be too hard to conceptualize Monopoly right now. I mean, not fully, but I'm not saying you couldn't play it.
On certain ones, you get money.
Yeah, well, you got to pay money too.
Depending on.
And you got to keep track of your money. It's a lot.
They should have Kansas City Monopoly featuring downtown stadium proposals. So basically, you just keep handing out money constantly. And it's to the bank consistently.
So Monopoly was on our list. We also used to play, I swear to God, we only played long games. We played Monopoly a lot. We played Risk.
Oh, I forgot about Clue.
Sorry also had a very long run in the tap. Like as far as kids games goes, because I think we liked it even as kids got a little bit older because if you don't remember, Sorry is vindictive as hell. you're not really all that sorry. You are constantly going off after the person who cost you the last game.
That's true.
Who's in first place in this one. You're just actively working it. We liked the games where you could actively work it. Someone goes to the bathroom. Turns out all of a sudden we have a treaty risk, which includes getting your ass out of the game. So it's just like we liked the games in which you can plot, scheme, go behind someone's back. I feel like that's why, Sorry, Risk, Monopoly, those all got played a lot in our house.
I forgot about Clue. That was actually,
Clue got played.
Clue was a lot.
Yep.
Colonel Mustard, man. Colonel Mustard definitely was always guilty,
We played our fair share of Uno as well.
Yeah.
That's a card game, but we played a lot of Uno. Jed, what were yours?
So Monopoly and Clue were probably the two most. Categories was also very popular. I'm a very big fan of that
Categories
game.
got some play.
The game that you mentioned, and I obviously was very excited about. I love the game of Risk. The problem is that it can take up days to play.
Monopoly never ends. So
Monopoly ends all the time.
never
People
really
always say that. That's
it never
the
ends
latest
unless someone quits.
Risk is a much longer game than Monopoly, especially if you're really determined to win. And
well, it's a
everyone's
game
not
of
attacking
world domination.
Have you ever played Risk?
I'm sure I have. I couldn't tell you the last time.
I'll bring in
How
Risk
long-
tomorrow. We'll play
How
before
long
the
do you
show.
think? Hey, if we played it just in breaks for the entire time Nick was gone,
Oh my
No,
god.
we wouldn't get done.
No way.
I'm trying to think 5 minutes at a time, 8
Over-
times
over
a
8
show,
days.
40
No way.
minutes times 8. I bet we'd be close, Jed.
I don't think we would. I'm
What if
bringing
we
it in
included
tomorrow.
an hour before the show every game to get some time in then too?
I'm for it. The problem is that we would need to find a neutral area that we could store the board overnight. I don't need people messing with all of our different pieces, on the board. And
We could just write them down at the end.
This is way too much here.
What do you mean?
We got to write down where we left off and all this.
As we got
every day?
older, somebody also mentioned Trivial Pursuit. That's probably the board game I've played the single most in my entire life. But that really started with when I was a teenager with friends. We played Trivial Pursuit a lot, and that just stuck. That one just stuck forever. That and and he mentioned categories. Those are all older ones.
Someone said again. Now we're venturing away from board game and more. But Battleship. Someone texted in. Battleship was one of my favorites too. But I don't put that in the board game category at all. But a Battleship, great game, but not a board. Not
We
a
didn't
board
play that
game.
one very much.
I love Battleship.
Played a lot more Connect 4 checkers and chess than Battle. As far as those just one versus one games. How much do you guys play Jenga? Somebody's mentioned. There's so many good choices in here. I didn't play much Cranium. Do you guys play that game much?
I didn't know.
I mean, we had it.
We had Operation too, but again, that's not a board game. We're just going full games. But Operation was a fun one.
Well, yeah, and they're mentioning Mousetrap, which is definitively a board game.
By the way, Mousetrap didn't ever work. Did anyone ever
No.
get it to actually work?
No, so we stopped
Here's
playing.
the thing: I never played Mousetrap in the way you're supposed to play. We just set it up to let it all run through.
Which didn't work.
That was all we ever did.
Someone says also, why are you guys talking about writing it down? Just take a damn picture of the board.
I don't know how we do that. We don't just walk around with cameras all the time. Oh wait,
So it's like, why
why would you write it? He's fair
You know what
point.
it is?
Fair point.
That is me going back to childhood, how we were going to keep track.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're coming back to this game. Somebody better put how many? I got 27 guys here in Indonesia, and I will not let that be forgotten. I did really like owning South America or Australia. Just pigeonhole yourself somewhere deep so you can spread out a little bit.
That was your strategy, huh?
Well, I mean, honestly, Europe, way too hard to protect. Just way, way too hard. You had to go North America, South America, or Australia, start there. You can't start. Africa was pretty good. You couldn't start in Europe.
This
Just a
definitely
mess.
sounds like it might be a faster game of Risk than I had thought. If you're saying Europe's too hard to defend,
It's too hard to defend.
You
There's
sound like an amateur.
There's 9 entry points, man.
What, are you some expert here on Risk?
Well, I'm not saying that I'm the world's best Risk
sounds
player,
like-
but I'm definitely saying I'm better than Cody.
You can be attacked by the person who's trying to hold North America and Africa and Asia. It's too much.
Bringing it in tomorrow. This is going to
All
end.
right. I haven't played in a long, long, long time. All right, that is the random question today. Up next, though, we do get into one of many events that are going to be happening over the next couple months involving the Royals and the Downtown Stadium project. Some of the questions that were raised last night, some of the answers, and a couple thoughts on those next.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor since 1994. Online at GANasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
You need new windows? You need the window source of Kansas City. If you're going to work on a big project in your house, Do not just trust anyone. That is not a good way to go about it. Trust me, and trust people who have had run-ins with bad contractors before. It's a lot easier to run into than you think. Or people just mislead or try to convince you, hey, buy two, get two free. No, they're just upping the price in the other ones and coming to the same range. The Window Source of Kansas City will be upfront, honest, by a father and son locally owned team who will make sure they take care of your project right the first time. My windows were installed 2 years ago. Guess how many problems I've had? None. Zero. Except for the one tiny little nick I had in one screen they noticed when they were over bringing me beer for Christmas, just to be nice, and they immediately replaced it. It wasn't even a big enough problem that I thought it needed replacing. That's the kind of expect, thanks to the Window Source of Kansas City. If you're in the market, there's only one company to trust. Give my guy Pierce a call, 913-333-6706. And if you're in Lawrence or Topeka, call his dad Gary, 785-320-2045, or head over to windowsourceofkc.com.
At Lowe's, it pays to be a pro. Now through January 6th, Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards members earn 1 bonus point for every $1 spent on qualifying purchases with a Lowe's Business Credit Account. Redeem bonus points for cool rewards for your business. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards today to start earning. Subject to credit approval, Lowe's terms and exclusions. See Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points and Lowe's.com/L/Pro loyalty terms for details. U.S. only.
See the road ahead more clearly with Sylvania Bulbs and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, purchase select Sylvania bulbs and get up to a $20 gift card after mail-in rebate, plus 2 times O Rewards points. Replace your bulbs today and see better tonight. Let the professional parts people help you find the bulbs you need. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Are you the type of person who loves their community and wants it to be the best it can be? Now it's easier than ever to do your part. Go to recyclemo.com to see just how easy it is to recycle the right way. Or if you already recycle and want to be as efficient as possible, recyclemo.com can tell you what should and should not be recycled in your area. Become part of the clean recycling movement today. It's the right thing to do. Sponsored by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, we are here. Here for spring fevers and lowering fevers. Here for first checkups and first dances. Here for planting seeds and growing communities. For more than 80 years, Blue KC has been here for good and will be here for the moments that matter, today and tomorrow. Because at Blue KC, we are here for good. Learn more at hereforgoodkc.com.
Join the Kansas City Community Meetup in supporting the 87 and Running charity this weekend at Level Up Arena. There'll be games like Madden, Call of Duty, and Mario Kart from noon until 10 o'clock. That's all at the Level Up Arena this Saturday, December 17th.
Holiday shopping is in full swing, and if jewelry is on your list, shop local at Nose Jewelry. It's E.J. Becker, and Nose Jewelry is a holiday tradition for so many of us who know and trust the team at Nose. Nose Christmas book is the perfect way to find the perfect gift for that special someone on your list, or for yourself. You'll find the Christmas book online at nosejewelry.com or stop by the store and grab one. Nose is a locally owned, woman-owned business. Rochelle and her team will help you find the perfect gift, help you do it within your budget. You'll see what I mean when you see the Christmas book. And they'll help you create more than a smile this Christmas. They'll help you create a lasting memory. It's easy to get to Nose Jewelry in Raymore, 58 Highway, just east of 71 Highway. You'll find them online at nosejewelry.com. And please, mention EJ when you shop for Christmas at Nose.
Season's greetings from Pizza Shop. This year we have more to offer than just our delicious Kansas City-style pizzas. For a limited time, when you buy them a gift card worth $25 or more, we'll give you a voucher for a free queen-size pizza. Visit pizzashop.com to find out the pizza shop nearest you.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, we are here. Here for spring fevers and lowering fevers. Here for first checkups and first dances. Here for planting seeds and growing communities. For more than 80 years, Blue KC has been here for good and will be here for the moments that matter, today and tomorrow. Because at Blue KC, we are here for good. Learn more at hereforgoodkc.com.
Did you know Nissan EVs have traveled 8 billion miles? Just a quick trip to Pluto and back. And what did we learn along the way? Well, that an EV can take on the world, like the Nissan Leaf. It can move racing forward and take your breath away, like the all-new Nissan Ariya. We learned to make EVs that electrify. 8 billion miles driven by Leaf owners globally since 2010. Ariya not yet available for purchase. Expected availability late fall, subject to change.
From the creators of Kentucky Fried Chicken comes the Taste Good Holiday Event of the Year, KFC's $5 Famous Bowl, starring crispy chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, gravy, corn, and everyone's favorite, melty cheese.
I'm in love with you, Famous Bowl.
Treat yourself to the bowl critics are calling a whole lot of food that even a Scrooge couldn't resist.
A humbug, that's tasty.
Gift yourself a KFC Famous Bowl for just $5. Now on the app and at a Kentucky Fried Chicken near you. For a limited time, prices and participation may vary.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Your home for the Big 12 champion, Kansas State Wildcats. 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
1 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp. Jed Marshall with you here. Nick is on vacation. He'll be back in about 8 shows or so. We did get a text from Nick, actually. I feel bad for our guy, Nick. We thought he was giving us a hard time and joking. News. He did just text us and say his flight to Munich just got canceled, which sucks. We feel terrible on that.
And he made me come in today? What the hell?
Well, I imagine he's still going to try to get there.
One, he's in Denver already, and his flight out of Denver, I guess we were thinking the weather you got to worry about in Denver, but Munich's got some bad weather. So his flight, that sucks. His flight was supposed to leave this afternoon, and the flight got canceled, which I feel terrible, man.
Well, this trip's cursed. He should cancel it.
What?
It's a cursed trip. Jed, am I right?
I'm 100% with you. I won't be here tomorrow because Nick's apparently not going to Germany. He's just flying back today.
My guess is he will end up flying out later tonight or tomorrow or something, and maybe you have to fly into a different city or something.
That's one whole last day of your vacation.
That's why I feel terrible. That's awful. I feel awful. It's one thing for your flight, Kansas City to Chicago gets canceled. Your flight to out of the country gets canceled. That's very problematic.
I've never had a flight canceled.
I have, but I've never flown out of the country, so that's got to be.
Yeah, you did.
Worse.
You missed a show once because you had a flight canceled.
Yeah, the one from
Vegas.
Vegas.
The one you knew was going to be canceled. He booked a return flight on Spirit right in the middle of them canceling 1 million flights, and he spent 6 weeks talking about it's probably a mistake.
I'm never flying that airline again.
That flight's probably going to get canceled. It's like, and then, of course, it did.
Why did you go through with it if you knew that the flight was going to be canceled?
I had a trip already planned months in advance to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I was going pretty much like once a year. Actually, I didn't go this past calendar year, and I was like, on the way there, I think I flew, I don't know, maybe Southwest or something, and then on the way back, it was significantly cheaper to do Spirits. I'm like, I'll roll the dice, and we were up at training camp before, and we did multiple shows, and I'm like, this thing's definitely gonna get canceled, and sure enough, it did, and so I had to miss a show, and then I flew a different airline. It cost myself some money.
Someone says, no worries. It just gives him extra time to plan the proposal.
True. Someone says, hope the guy next to him has shorts on with hairy legs as well for the
Now, see, now I'm not wishing that on Nick now. That would have been
so.
funny from the flight to Munich for him to talk about the fact that he didn't want anyone wearing shorts. If someone was in shorts for that 10-hour flight right next to him, I'd feel so bad.
Oh, I feel bad about the flight getting canceled. I don't feel bad if someone chooses to wear shorts next to him on the plane.
By the way, France is already up 1-0 on Morocco.
Mbappe or who?
5 minutes. No, it's Hernandez.
Okay. So anyway, World Cup's semifinal. The winner, of course, goes on to face Argentina. But just 5 minutes into the match, France up on Morocco. Okay. Last night, we had our toy drive. So first and foremost, thanks to everybody that participated in that, benefiting the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Kansas City. We're at Jefferson's in North KC. Had a great time. Saw some of our listeners. Great amount of toys donated. I know the Boys and Girls Club, we're really happy with that. Jefferson's also donated a portion of proceeds last night. Wrote a check to the Boys and Girls Club of KC, so I think it was fantastic. We appreciate everybody's support. And Cody was sweating his ass off in the Santa costume for 3 hours. Man. His hair, I'd never seen it like that before, ever. It was like flat. It was weird. It was like
weird. Sweaty underneath the hat, so just like getting matted down to your head, Yeah,
it was very weird. But we had a great time. I did get my sweet corn nuggets before I left because I went with the wings early and then just inhaled some of the sweet corn nuggets. So those were fantastic. So appreciate everybody again. While we were at that, also the Royals were having one of many future listening events, if you want to call it community events, to get public feedback on, of course, this massive stadium project. And it's the ballpark district, as we know. The overall price tag is $2 billion. The price tag for the stadium itself, $1 billion. A couple things were learned last night. So it was John Sherman. Members of the whole organization were there. You had, of course, the community that was at the event. And then you had a couple representatives from like Populous and other companies that are involved, of course, in the potential project. And we learned a few things. One, real quick, housekeeping stuff. The earliest a vote could occur is August of 2023. So if you're wondering when would you have an opportunity to vote yes or no, that's earliest would be on the ballot in August. Capacity, we learned 38,000 capacity, 34,000 seats. That was another thing that was confirmed last night. And I think one of the most important things, very end of the night, John Sherman was asked, can you make a promise that the Royals won't leave Kansas City, Missouri? And he said, we can do that. I think most of us felt confident versus where the Chiefs are at. That they were going to stay.
I don't think either team's going.
I don't either, but the one that was, quote-unquote, more up in the air would be the Chiefs on the Kansas thing. The Royals confirming, though, last night that that they're staying in Kansas City, Missouri, I think is also something that everybody's happy to hear. But there were some interesting questions, I think some fair questions, that were asked to John Sherman. And a couple of the answers I thought were interesting. First and foremost, John Sherman was asked why taxpayers should foot part of the bill. We know this is they're calling it a public-private partnership. We
entire time.
Yeah, we don't know the split. That's a number we don't have yet. We don't know out of that $1 billion for the stadium. We don't know if it's 50-50. We don't know if it's 70-30. We don't know what the breakdown is. But he was asked why should taxpayers foot part of the bill. His answer was, quote, we are asking we do this together. You will hold us accountable to deliver benefits on your behalf. We will be beside you with a very significant investment. Let me first say, you guys know I am very pro the idea of downtown ballparks. You guys know that.
I also think a downtown ballpark will be cool.
And I think it is beneficial to the city. And I think if the city is to continue to grow, a downtown ballpark is a great way to continue to be part of that effort to do so. With that said, the notion, though, that fans and therefore residents of Missouri will hold the organization accountable. What happens, though, if you don't live up to your promise on the other end, which was something you had mentioned earlier, which is when the time is right, we'll invest heavily in this team. And this
How about not when the time's right?
New revenue.
Because we have to invest now. Why can't you? Like, to me, that's the reasonable stance. You can't keep telling me, trust me, man, when we're supposed to invest in this baseball team, we will. You can just do it now. Pay some of these young players. That's what it really comes down to for me. Pay some of these young players. I'm not even saying go out there and sign Carlos Correa for a $13-year, $350 million deal.
Right.
Pay some young players. Pay some of the guys in your roster. Pay Bobby Wood Jr. or pay Brady Singer or pay Vinny Pasquantino. Pay MJ Melendez. It doesn't really matter to me. The guys you decide and identify is the one who pay them, although I'd like it to be Bobby Wood Jr. But pay him. Pay Bobby Wood Jr. a couple $100 million. Because if you don't want to wait for the stadium, then I don't think it's necessarily fair to ask us to wait for you to be competitive before you invest in the baseball team. That's tough. I like the idea of a downtown stadium. I know it's going to happen. I'm all for it. I understand the concerns, as you've said, about this. I am curious what the final numbers committed, because at this point they're being quiet, and I'm assuming part of the reason they're quiet on it is because they don't have the full accounting of the numbers yet, because we don't know exactly what the stadium part's going to be like. That. But when he says, we're going to foot a big part, right? That's how he put it, right? A big part of the $1 billion stadium project. What does that mean to you? What is a number that is then acceptable? Because to me, it's got to be at least half, right? Like, if you're saying a big part, at least half. Like, it should be $500 million, right?
That's going to be really interesting to see the actual breakdown on that. Because we know they've made a commitment. They have at least said publicly that Jackson County residents will not see theirs go up any more than additional what they're already paying for the current renovations that are still ongoing. The cost is still ongoing.
Yeah, they are.
Till 2031 or 30. Yeah. So that's what they have pledged and they have promised. We'll see where everything bears out on the financial side. I think we'll maybe learn more as more of these.
And he said that he wouldn't just mind just continuing that same thing, like where it's not new tax dollars, it's just continuing said commitment.
And one of the individuals, Sarah Dempster over at Populous, had mentioned last night at the event that it will cost as much to upgrade and renovate Kauffman, $1 billion, as it would be to build a new ballpark. That's a dollar amount that's been thrown around, and we understand the stadium was built in the 70s and the concrete and some major issues with.
Well, and going downtown means another $1 billion because they want the baseball ballpark.
Yeah, which now that is not part of the public financing part of that. That is the $1 billion for the stadium is the public finance part. The $1 billion on the other side is not what they're asking the public for. But I think what will be interesting, as you said, will be the actual breakdown of where it's going to be location-wise, which we still don't have an answer for, and then also what is the real percentage that you're asking. If it's $1 billion price tag, is ownership paying 65% of that, 50%? I know in a perfect world, that should be 100%. I get
probably
that.
like they're financing $350. The city and Major League Baseball somehow chip in, or the state and Major League Baseball somehow are responsible for another $150 million, and probably publicly finance the other half. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, we'll find out as more of these events take place. This was the first of is there 4 of these planned?
Yeah,
like
4.
that. So there's 3 left, 3 more to go. And I don't know what the date is on the next one.
It's hard because your job is to get as much public support for it as you can. But I also think pitching it like you're doing me a bigger favor than I'm doing you is just not accurate. And it just isn't. I'm not saying it can't be good for the city. You and I both talked about this with the airport. I like things this is why I voted yes to the street. I like things that improve our city, make it more attractive to other people, progress it forward. You need things like new airports and developed downtown areas and good public transit and those things to do it. And the stadium could very well assist that. But I'm also giving you hundreds of millions of dollars for an asset that only you will own that will improve exponentially in value based on anything we know about Major League Baseball teams. And the thing you just bought for $1 billion with a new stadium in which you're responsible for, let's say it's $1 billion between the downtown stadium project and the other stuff, is going to be worth triple that in under 10 years, right? So it's hard to be like, well, it's more for you than us. And you're like, it's not. But I understand why cities make these decisions or why downtown baseball is cool and all that. I know the perfect world scenario of you pay for all of it. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, the unfortunate setup in this country when it comes to stadiums and professional teams is that they're publicly financed. And I don't know how you break out of that cycle, unfortunately, because there's been very few fully privately funded venues, frankly. The one example that we always give is the Golden State Warriors out in the Bay Area in Chase Arena. That actually is a completely privately financed arena. That's a rarity. There's just not many projects that are completely privately financed. I think you and I have talked a great deal about it, just the kind of the unfortunate cycle that exists with that. Fortunately, you heard last night the commitment to stay in Kansas City, Missouri from John Sherman and the Royals ownership group. But we know in other cities how publicly financed projects have been used as leverage for staying or leaving, right? I mean, that's why if you're asking, like, why has this been allowed to continue, this idea of publicly funded stadiums and projects? Because we have seen in other cities, unfortunately, the result of those projects not coming together. San Diego a couple times, obviously Oakland. And so,
we've seen the ones that go bad. Like someone was mentioning Atlanta, like they haven't had quite the.
I'm talking about just like the threat of leaving kind of stuff that have happened in other cities. The unfortunate cycle. There are some.
And the Royals aren't doing that, which I appreciate.
Fortunately, yeah, very fortunately.
Well, honestly, does that seem like a good strategy for them? Like, I know why you do that to Oakland. Kansas City would not be a good city to, in my opinion, to threaten. Not if you're the Royals. Chiefs can threaten whoever they want, if that makes sense, right? They're the Chiefs. They got Patrick Mahomes. They got a Super Bowl in the last couple of years. They can kind of threaten whoever it is they feel like. But the Royals really do need the public support. And I'm not saying that when the time comes, I made it very clear to you that I wouldn't vote for that, and I still think that they can afford the stadium and all this stuff. But these forums are so fascinating to me because some of the answers they have for them are very reasonable, right? Like, I don't think it's like John Sherman's like, hey, how come the Truman Sports Complex is never developed? And if I were Sherman, I'd be like, one, not my problem. I was never in charge when they were trying to
they've had 50 years to figure that out.
And it doesn't, and that's the thing. It doesn't matter why the Truman Sports area has never been able to be developed as much as one fact about this. It never will. We $2 billion into that area, build a whole brand new stadium, and a ballpark village, and it's never going to be as likely to develop as if you put it downtown, because nothing has grown there outside of tumbleweeds in 50 years.
Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I thought the Taco Bell was going to spur all kinds of economic development around there, man. It just never, just
actually,
really never
what's
happened,
funny about it is the development's actually gotten worse. There used to be a hotel.
I know. Yeah.
Like, it's actually gotten worse. They're like, less, actually. I mean, maybe that Denny's popped up, or was it always there? How long has the Denny's been there?
For a while.
That popped up after the stadium was built, so maybe we should be talking about it differently. The Denny's has had a good run. That popped up because that Denny's even be there if the stadium wasn't there? Probably not, right, Jed? That Denny's wouldn't even exist.
I wouldn't think so. I wanted to make so many Denny's jokes, but you beat me to the punch.
Look,
that Taco Bell, by the way, if they ever move Royals, if Kauffman and Arrowhead both move, that poor franchise owner of that Taco Bell is going to go bankrupt. Have you thought about him?
Cody.
That guy's going to go bankrupt. His entire profit margin, that one gas station, the Minute Mart, and that Taco Bell, they're going to go bankrupt.
You don't know that. The industrial park right around the corner is a very lovely area. There are going to be people trucking in from over there.
Like, in all seriousness, though, you mentioned the Chiefs aspect here. I mean, that's the other part that I think is, of course, interesting about this entire conversation with what the Royals are trying to accomplish is we know what the Chiefs are going to be asking for, either a new stadium or renovations as well. And
at this point, because of the concrete stuff, it makes as much sense as they did the other.
And so whenever the Royals measure goes to the ballot, maybe as early as August 2023 next year, we know the Chiefs will be right behind them. And so that I think it's, it is definitely still a fair question of if you're going to have what percentage of this project is going to be publicly financed, and then knowing that the Chiefs are going to be knocking on the door and saying, we would like some of that public money as well. Like, that's going to happen. And that's going to be really interesting to see how all that plays out.
I know whether because, and they can kind of control the narrative. Like, they had this thing last night. There were no media questions, right? It was for the fans, for season ticket holders. And I understand that this is how it works. Like, I know that you don't always have to like it, but but I also we can fight. If you really are against it, you can fight certain aspects of it. But I would tell you now that your energy is better spent. No, I'm not you. Just saying.
No, I'm saying, like, in general, I'm all for like the fact that we're having these events and people are voicing their frustration. I think that is important. But what you're saying is, unfortunately, I think we all know what the end result ends up. This thing will end up passing when it's on the ballot, whether it's in August of next year or later.
I would assume so. Has there been a city that hasn't passed it? Even Oakland passed it. Like, they threatened to leave, and they're eventually going to leave. Remember when Oakland was like, okay, fine, you win. We'll give you your money for your stadium. They're like, ooh. Didn't.
That was an owner. Like, that was a league and owner that wanted that team.
We didn't really want it.
That was a league and owner that wanted that team in Vegas, right? I mean, that was.
Yeah, and they thought by saying, pay for our stadium, they'd be like, we'll never. And then they said, we will. And they were like, oh, damn it. Nah, it's fine. We changed our mind. We don't actually want your money. We want to build this stadium in Vegas instead. At least the Royals and the Chiefs aren't going anywhere. They're Kansas City's teams. And I know that sometimes that's a frustrating part, but at least other cities haven't been as fortunate in that regard. I'm glad that Kansas City at least has that going for them.
The Royals did make a little signing yesterday. One thing at the meeting last night, John
when
Sherman
I was saying
kind of
commit, I didn't mean this kind of signing.
No. He had mentioned that to check the wire. Some moves maybe be coming down. One of them happened.
There's no way he meant Ryan Yarbrough when he said that. You
don't think Ryan Yarbrough, the 30-year-old, on a one-year deal? Look, it's a one-year deal.
Against this deal.
It's a one-year deal. That in baseball, 1 year deal for $3 million, and if he's good enough, it becomes $4 million with incentives. Yeah, nobody should be like upset about the 1 year signing. We'll see what the guy can bring to the table. He's a former Tampa Bay Ray. We know the connection, obviously, between him and the current now Royals manager Matt Quatraro. So I think if he's someone that can eat up some innings for you, we'll see. And if he ends up having a decent year, then so be it. And maybe he ends up being, because it's a 1 year deal, maybe he's a guy that actually has a good year but doesn't have a long-term future here. Maybe you can parlay that into something else for future pieces down the road. It's a 1 year deal. What are
our concerns about workplace biases? The only guy he brings over from Tampa Bay also went to Old Dominion?
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to factor that into this deal at all? The people are asking.
The Monarchs or whatever?
The people are asking about Old Dominion. Now Vinny, Quatraro, now we got Ryan Yarbrough. Nothing but Old Dominion products all of a sudden with the Kansas City Royals. This is the kind of move you give yourself a safety net. This is a starting pitching safety net. 1 year, $3 million, that's a perfectly fine starting pitching safety net. But it cannot be all you do in the starting pitching. And if they announce Zach Greinke back next week,
I'm assuming that's going to happen at some point.
That can't be all you do in the starting pitching department.
I can find the cut again. We played just 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, the cut from J.J. Piccolo at the meetings, winter meetings. And he essentially said, paraphrasing, but you can tell me if I'm reading it wrong, basically like, this time next year, when we know a bit more about our young guys, we'll be more aggressive then. So I think the move that happened yesterday is probably more the type of move that we're going to continue to see. I don't think they're going to mess with the position players. I think the rotation, they'll bring in another veteran, Zach Greinke, maybe one more after that. But I think that's it, man. I think that's all we're going to see as they try to figure out more about what they actually have. That clearly must mean that there's a longer leash for Piccolo than we were just wondering what the leash would be. Must mean that there's a pretty long leash if they're willing to kind of go evaluation this year. I think long term it might actually be the right move. And the short term, I get the frustration from fans. Nobody wants to hear that they're going to essentially, right now, Cody, it looks like they're going to run this thing back and hope that not having Cal Eldred and other guys on the staff helps the team. I mean, that's kind of what you're asking. You're hoping that this coaching staff gets more out of the young pitchers in the prior regime. And if that's
it's impossible to get less.
Well, that's fair.
Pretty much.
Look at you being optimistic today.
What can I say? Look, they did a good job with Brady Singer. I never thought Cal Eldred was the right fit from the beginning, and I didn't think that they were. I thought their problems are what they've identified are their problems. I didn't think they were enough analytically and forward-thinking driven as other baseball teams. I remember last year in the middle of it because like the pitching was struggling so much. Talked to a couple of people who'd worked for some other organizations, and it was just like, yeah, everyone just kind of universally accepted at that time that the Royals were behind. They were behind. It's not like they were using horse-drawn carriages and everyone else was driving cars, but there was a gap between what they were doing from a pitching staff development department and what other teams in the league had gotten to. Some of that could have been finances, going back to the stadium stuff, but there was other stuff there. I know this is making a lot of a Ryan Yarbrough trade, but in fairness, or signing, this is the very first move they've made.
It is.
So, we got to remember that. And they didn't do a hype video like the Pirates did for Vincent Velasquez. So just take it.
Thank goodness.
Take what you can. I mean, that's
you want a hype video when they bring back Greinke, which, by the way, I have no problem with them bringing back Greinke. But
I want them to bring back Greinke.
They need to. At this point, they need to.
It's also a little bit different. That's bringing back one of your franchises.
Do you need a hype video?
For Greinke?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah.
You want one?
Or another. I'm sure the Athletic's going to write 3 more articles this year about the stuff he says to people. I like those articles.
You're a big fan of those overall.
Huge fan. Zach Greinke's one of the most interesting athletes in the world. So different than so many of them. You don't like those Zach Greinke articles?
I do. You usually point them out to me.
I find them first. Don't you worry about that.
You usually give me the quotes. I don't usually have to look for them. Usually Cody will be like, did you see this quote from Zach Greinke? No, I'm looking forward to that, and I do agree with you. I think Zach Greinke will be back.
Someone said, I don't think Sherm was talking about... He said, I don't think he was talking about the TV show. He was talking about the transaction wire.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe. The wire was up,
Keep an eye out on the wire. Be looking for the wire.
Do you think John Sherman's watched the wire?
Ooh.
That's a real question.
I'm going to go ahead and say no.
I would also say no.
That's one of the most popular shows ever.
Cody, you've never seen The Sopranos.
Okay, but missing one show doesn't mean that I don't think that's the case.
So why do you think he automatically has seen? But your example was it's one of the more popular shows.
Because it's one of those popular shows.
So it's The Sopranos, and you haven't seen it. Why do you think he's seen The Wire?
What's your logic behind him not seeing?
I just don't think he's seen it. It's also not like a show that's been out recently. I don't think he's seen it. And it's not like he.
I think he has. I think John Sherman's seen The Wire.
It's not like he was with the ball. He wasn't in. He was in Cleveland. He wasn't in Baltimore. It's not like he must have known because he was in Baltimore. He was in Cleveland.
None of us live in Baltimore, and we all watch the show.
My point is, like, if he's saying like why, so the other reasons for, like, he's like, well, why would I go? One, I just don't think he did, but also
I can't think of a single reason why he wouldn't have.
I can't think of a single reason why you wouldn't have seen The Sopranos, but you haven't. It just happens.
But I'm the oddity. Okay,
he might not have seen The Wire.
If it makes you feel better, Cody, I haven't seen the full Sopranos. I've only seen a handful of episodes. Very good every time I've seen it, but never watched the whole show.
Next time John Sherman has a public speaking engagement, we'll be sure to ask.
Get Vern on the case.
Yeah, Vern, please ask John Sherman the next time. Have you seen The Wire? And if he says yes, then I want a full breakdown.
Yeah, who's your favorite character?
Who's your favorite character?
Are you a Bodhi guy? Are you an Omar guy?
Breakdown. Can you do the whistle, John? Can you do the whistle?
I saw there was a Variety article up that HBO tried to cut the very first Omar scene. They're like, we don't know who this guy is. It's not important. He seems like he's just holding up drug dealers. We don't know that really matters.
The actor
like, are you
passed
kidding?
away
Yeah, he did.
last year.
Michael K. Williams.
It happened right before the Chiefs played the Baltimore Ravens because I was at the game and I remember they did like a tribute to him and they played and now they did it all last season. I don't know if they're still doing it this season, but they ended up playing that throughout the season in tribute in honor of him. Anyway, coming up next. I don't know how we got down that road.
Who knows?
Well, The Wire, right? The Wire. We'll get to what's trending and back into this Chiefs offense and just what could still happen with it next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Alex's That Betting Show every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Right here on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
How hectic is your morning routine right now? Maybe you're trying to get the kids to school, you're packing lunches, then you've got to make sure you're set up for your work day as well. What if I told you could save at least a couple of minutes each and every morning if you could not have to deal with the hassle of making sure you have your contact solution when you're traveling for work? Because maybe you don't need contacts anymore. Maybe you don't need to worry about your glasses anymore. That can be a reality if you call my friends over at Dury Vision. That's because about 18 months ago, I made a phone call and found out that I was a candidate for SBK Advanced LASIK. After using glasses or contacts for much of my life, I just don't have to worry about that anymore. It's nice not having to spend the money on the contacts and the contact solution. It's nice not having to worry about my glasses in the summertime if I'm by the pool, if in the wintertime the glasses are fogging up as I'm going into stores because it's cold outside. All that is over thanks to Dury Vision, and you can find out if you can see without those glasses and contacts by calling Dury Vision at 913-491-3330. Or go on to DuryVision.com and tell them Gold from 610 sent you.
Old Shawnee Pizza has a Smokin' Holiday Wednesday BOGO special. Buy any medium one-topping pizza and get the second medium one-topping pizza free. Call or go online today to ShawneePizza.com to order for pickup, delivery, or eat in. Old Shawnee Pizza, 2 locations, Shawnee and Lenexa.
Wrap up your holiday gift list at NFM. Find something for everyone on your list, all in one store. The latest appliances, the hottest electronics, furniture, rugs, and more. Don't forget, NFM gift cards make perfect presents. NFM reduced prices on thousands of in-stock items store-wide. Get the best deals in every department. There's still time to find great gifts at low prices. Stand mixers, wireless headphones, TVs, recliners, toys, desks, home decor, entertainment furniture, and more. Get it today with convenient drive-through pickup and take advantage of 24-month financing. Find big selection and big savings at NFM. Bring the family this weekend and join us for photos with Santa, kids' crafts, a free gift, and more. Plus, stop by Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m. to meet members from KC Current and score a few autographs. Check out NFM.com for more event details. Minimum monthly payments required, 18% APR. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
A surprise proposal under the stars. A diamond ring symbolizing your love. A promise to inspire, respect, and love one another. Visit Chain Company to create a treasure that will hold meaning forever. We design our engagement rings in-house, so any style you choose will be a unique creation. We know a ring comes to life when it's set with a center stone that speaks to you. Chain Company offers the largest selection of center stones, natural diamonds and lab-grown diamonds, as well as natural gemstones, including rubies, sapphires, peach morganite, aquamarine, and amethyst. We sell our center stones loose, so you can compare stones side by side and select the one that's right for you, or select a perfectly preset ring that's ready to go. A jewelry consultant will work with you to help you maximize your budget. Our free lifetime warranty even covers the center stone. Make this the holiday you'll both treasure forever.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
What makes for a great vacation? Depends on who you ask. Are you looking to get away or bring everyone together? Do you want to get outside and play or see a play at the plate? Fortunately, however you operate, I'm the destination you've been looking for. The name's Missouri, but you can call me Mo. And I have just one question. What's your MO? Come see me at visitmo.com.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7, with supplies and solutions for every industry, and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's worse than calling your groin your junk? Treating it like junk. Respect your pubic region with Gillette Intimate. Gentle and easy pubic hair care from America's #1 trusted men's grooming brand. Gillette, the best a man can get. Buy now at Walmart.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything, and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
All right, number one on what's trending, some news on the injury front from Andy Reid earlier today. McCole Hardman is back at practice. He was activated in that 21-day window. He's still on IR. That's important to note, but he's at least able to start practicing again. Andy had mentioned that he's lost a lot of weight. They're trying to get his weight back up as well. Also, Kadarius Toney expected to practice. Maybe he can actually play Sunday. I don't think McCole's going to play on Sunday. That doesn't seem like the vibe we're getting, but maybe Toney.
Put weight back on.
Yeah, so maybe Toney could play Sunday against the Texans. And, of course, the Chiefs 14-point favorites right now against Houston, down in Houston.
Next up on what's trending, your World Cup update. Obviously, Argentina advanced yesterday with their 3-0 domination in their semifinal match. Well, France and Morocco are currently underway. France with a 1-0 lead in the 34th minute. That first goal was scored by Hernandez inside of 5 minutes of the start time of this game. Since then, been a little back and forth. Both a couple shots on goal, but the game right now still 1-0 France.
Waiting for an Mbappe goal. Just waiting.
If we get France-Argentina, somebody's winning our correct guess on the board for spec.
Oh,
because
our internal
internal
contest. Yeah.
A couple people have France, a couple people have Argentina.
This is true.
Jet said he had Spain, unfortunately.
I had Germany, so...
You didn't even make it to the knockout.
VAR.
You didn't make it out of the...
VAR screwed me. That goal should not have counted for Japan. Should not have counted.
It didn't look like he was well...
The ball was out of bounds, man.
He was pretty far out of bounds.
You
got to remember, soccer's got a much looser out of bounds than... feels like. It just feels that
to me,
way.
like out of bounds, looser, out of bounds.
Looser.
Isn't that what out of bounds means? It's out of bounds.
They care
it's out of
less.
bounds.
Soccer cares less, man. They're just like close enough.
I don't know if they care less. The ball has to go fully over the line. If it's not fully over the line, it's not out of bounds.
I think it was fully over, man. VAR.
You don't know anything about soccer.
I think VAR. There's multiple articles written from soccer experts.
Name one.
Name one soccer
publications.
Expert.
Name one.
Bleacher
name
Report.
one that you read.
That's not a soccer
That's
publication.
not a soccer.
It's a publication that covers soccer.
Whatever.
Therefore, it's a soccer publication. Don't you know that every 4 years we all become soccer experts? Don't you understand how this works?
Being a soccer snob year-round, I don't really appreciate that.
See, that's the
I
problem.
am looking at the replay of that, and there's just no way to tell me that ball's not out of bounds. You can see green between the line, man. That ball's out of bounds.
That's the weird thing about soccer fans. Like, what Jed just said is like, you guys seem to be unwelcoming to those of us that just want to jump on for the 4 years, for every 4 years. It
I don't
seems
want
like
any part
you
of
guys
it.
think you're better than everybody else because you've been a fan year-round.
Think that we're better. We know we're better.
That's the problem. Like around the Super Bowl in the NFL, if there was someone from another country that said, you know what, I want to root for this team, I would welcome them with open arms.
Nope, not me. Get out of here.
That's always like the thing about like bandwagon fans. I'm like, don't you want more fans of your team?
No. You want it to be an exclusive club.
All right, next up.
We're only in together.
On what's trending. According to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, several teams now believe Odell Beckham Jr. is leaning towards sitting out the rest of the year, gearing up for free agency in March. Quote, he'll be the prize of the free agency wide receiver class. We know that it's a weak wide receiver class in free agency.
It is.
Top names include Juju Smith-Schuster and Odell Beckham Jr. This was trending this way in the last couple weeks. We had talked about this, actually, on the air. That seemingly, like, I don't think he's going to end up playing for anybody this year. Things had cooled off, and the Cowboys visit, you had that stuff leak out. They didn't think he was healthy. Look, he's just not healthy. He got tore his ACL in the Super Bowl. So I don't think it's like anything to be ashamed of in terms of like, how are you not ready? Like, I think everybody in his own expectations of getting back in time for January postseason was probably a little crazy. So I would be interested in this offseason bringing him in for a visit and signing him then. But he's not going to help anybody this year.
No, and that's not surprising once you started seeing everybody else sign all those guys. Yeah, second it was Hilton and Cole Beasley getting contracts. You're like, okay, this is over. Next up on What's Trending, Carlos Correa. If you missed it late last night, I think Jeff Passan's tweet came through a little before 11 p.m. last night. 13-year, $350 million contract heading to the San Francisco Giants. Reports said the Mets came in with a strong offer late. Might have driven the Giants price tag up. But either way, Carlos Correa gets 10 years and $350 million. That is like the fifth contract this offseason that has just been for absolutely bonkers money.
And the next big one to come is probably for Carlos Rodon, right? I mean, because Verlander's already signed his.
Yeah.
So it's probably, I would say that. And Judge already, of course, signed back
and
with the
DeGrom
Yankees.
got all that money. And yeah.
It's, look, we all know this. We live in Kansas City with the Royals and everything.
Dansby Swanson's going to get a bunch of money, too.
But it's like, when I see Carlos Correa get that kind of money, it does make me look at Bobby Wood Jr. and it's like, if he ends
Don't say
up,
that to yourself.
If he ends up being the guy we think he can be, and I see Carlos Correa getting 13 for $350 or whatever, like, it's like, it's not happening, man.
You're just giving up hope now?
If that's the type of contract we're talking about, I don't see it.
Why can't the Royals do it? If the Twins gave Joe Mauer all that money not that long ago, why can't they?
In a perfect world, here's what would happen in a perfect world. That in the public financing agreement for the downtown stadium, in writing, the organization had to commit to spending X amount of money per year on the payroll. But that's just never going to happen. I would love that. Like, if you want the public to finance the stadium? All right. Well,
promise us you'll sign Bobby Wood Jr.
Instead of this blind trust and doing trust falls together, let's write in stone. Let's put in contract that publicly financing stadium, you get X amount, you agree to spend X amount on payroll per year.
I like that.
That'll never happen. I know that. That's why we said perfect world, but man.
I like that the current trust fall method is just Juju Smith-Schuster's touchdown celebration.
I just hate the setup of baseball,
he just fell backwards, if you don't remember that from Sunday.
I hate the current setup of baseball.
You want a hard floor, hard
Yeah, look at these numbers are outrageous. It truly is not even, you're not playing in the same league at all. You know, it makes you appreciate what the Royals were able to accomplish in 2014 and 2015 so much.
Of course.
It's incredible that they won the championship in 2015. Because when I see like the Mets essentially trying to buy a World Series, like how much money can we spend to buy a damn World Series? It makes me want to hope the Mets, if there's any team I'm rooting against next year, it's the New York Mets. It's insane. Are they going to have a $340 million payroll? I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'm obviously exaggerating, but like still, it's not going to be terribly far off from that.
Oh, it's going to be high.
It's not even...
Very, very high.
Man, oh man. That's what's trending. Frustrating. That's all. How are you supposed to mean... If the NFL had the same thing, the Chiefs wouldn't be able to compete either on a regular basis.
So the NFL is the only... By the way, people always just try to stick this to baseball.
What's great about the NFL.
Yes. The NFL is a truly unique sport in this way. The problem is, as you know, is that you almost have to set it up that way from the beginning in order to ever get to that point. The NBA has installed a cap and floor because, truthfully, without even like a soft cap, which is what the NBA has, everybody can't win in the NBA. No offense. I know Milwaukee found their way, so do the Royals. That's not how it works in the NBA.
Milwaukee drafted a generational player, right? I mean, in basketball, if you have one of those guys, you got a chance, right? So,
but only for a limited amount of time because they all go do the same thing that happens in Major League Baseball. Every superstar in basketball leaves Cleveland and goes to Miami.
Yeah, Giannis is unique.
Los Angeles,
right?
or goes to New York or Brooklyn or whatever. Boston.
Giannis, the reason why he's so likable, he's unique, not only in his own talent, which is his talent is insane, but he's built different than everybody else. Not everybody's going to operate the way that he's willing to operate, which is, of course, staying in Milwaukee and doing that. And
I wonder what what's the last small market team to win in the NBA before Milwaukee, because I know Milwaukee qualifies there.
I have no idea off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm pulling up the champions by year. Golden State.
Definitely not a small
Milwaukee, obviously, as we mentioned. Los Angeles, Toronto,
probably
Cleveland. Golden State, Cleveland.
It's Cleveland.
And you had to draft, I don't know.
Thank you, Jed.
Hey, man, just draft the single greatest talent in NBA history. Problem solved.
Who also left. And the only reason he came back is because it's his home team. But even to your point, you can draft a guy who's from your hometown, but it doesn't preclude it from leaving.
I get it. Like the Spurs had a really good run there, so it's not saying it can't happen. The Spurs are a small market team, and they had a dynasty, so again, generational player. The problem is baseball, it's not the NBA doesn't have the same problems in baseball. They do. It's just a generational talent can hold you into the mix better in basketball than it can baseball. Because Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout on the same damn baseball team, they cannot
make the postseason.
The Royals could draft Shohei Ohtani tomorrow. It will not guarantee them playoff success. But if you draft the next LeBron James tomorrow, it's over. It's over for all of you. It's just, and NFL, that's part of the reason why the NFL has the same model that we're talking about. The cap obviously helps, but the simple reality is anybody can draft the next generational quarterback. Any team can do that from any market size.
And
it can fix your team.
Even deeper conversation, even though it's just the marketing aspect and the regionalization of the sport of baseball compared to these others. We know in the NFL, you can be Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, one of the smallest markets and
be the biggest star.
And he is the face of the league. And in baseball,
that's very true.
You even just mentioned the LA, of course, major market, but on the East Coast, if Shohei Ohtani was on the East Coast, there'd be way more eyeballs on what he's been able to accomplish.
Well, if Shohei Ohtani was with the Royals, there'd be a bunch of people who didn't care what he was doing.
Yeah, it's the sad reality of where baseball's at. It's so regionalized. We can go down that road. We can talk about the TV contracts, why it's
I think the Royals should trade for Shohei Ohtani. That's really the takeaway here. That if the Angels are willing to trade him, that the Royals should trade him. Trade for him. What do you think? Solve their pitching and hitting problems.
What? I personally think they should have just signed Aaron Judge, and I think they should get Carlos Rodon, and I think they should have got Carlos Correa.
I do think realistic signing, I still think they should sign Dansby Swanson. I stand by that.
We had that conversation. Pitching.
Well, you can't fix that with one signing.
Pitching.
Between all the young hitters they already have, you added one more. It's a good offense. It's an above average offense.
You want to talk about something more optimistic, not quite as depressing of the state of baseball.
Sure. Trying to fix baseball today?
Still, despite the performance against the Broncos, what we have with the Chiefs right now, and we had Nate Taylor on the show yesterday. We were talking about the young secondary, and I think there's reasons to continue to be optimistic about the future of the secondary because of how much we've already seen from some of these guys in their rookie seasons. But at the same time, are we going to see still improvement from now till the postseason from the young, or are they kind of maxed out for this rookie season? Justin Reid spoke earlier and we talked about the takeaways, and he felt like when you're a young player, a lot of times you're not as focused in on the takeaways, right? You're just trying to. It takes getting that first one to get more comfortable. You don't maybe know the route concepts as well as after 2 years.
You're just trying to stay close to the guy, sure.
So is that more of a hey, next year we're going to reap the benefits of that? Because it doesn't, or all of a sudden is Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson going to be ball hawks out of nowhere here in 4 weeks?
To me, that's not happening. They're not going to just start taking the ball. Those two guys are not going to be the guys who just start taking the ball away. Because, at this point, they haven't really done that. So I don't think that that's going to just flip here in these final 4 weeks. But I also, of all the positions on the field, it does not seem unreasonable to me that the corners still have some room for growth. They have.
Well, I think long term, but you think for this season they're still?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I think Joshua Williams having to play more now because Jalen Watson's snaps have gone down because of the hand injury that, Nate Taylor pointed out earlier, and that's going to force him into some different situations. And I think that Trent McDuffie, he's only played like 6 games, so these final 4 are damn near 50% of his entire workload. So I think that there's growth there. I know that we're down on the defense a little bit because they had their worst game of the season.
Yeah.
Not from a turnover or sack perspective, but when you give up 28 points to the Denver Broncos, no matter how many short fields you put in, people are going to make fun of you because that was the league's worst offense. They had only scored 20 points twice this year. That's the most points they've scored at all this season. So it just felt like you're going to go up against them. But I do. Similar to that is I don't know that I've seen the best of the offensive unit and those things. I really do think that there's still something more that's capable out of the unit.
It's not a coincidence that in a game where the Chiefs did get 6 sacks against the bad Broncos team, that they also had a pick 6 and they also had a turnover. We know that turnover that Snead had, this interception, was directly related to the defensive line, Chris Jones in particular, the defensive line getting pressure, getting sacks, causing turnovers. So that's we can talk about the young secondary a ton, and that's fine. But the answer to hey, how do you get more takeaways is a direct result of what you believe this defensive line can continue to do.
Sure.
Can Chris Jones continue?
They're 4th in the NFL in sacks.
Yeah.
At this point, we're supposed to assume they're a good sack team.
Continue to be dominant. Chris Jones, of course, the bulk of that. But can other guys step up? And that's how you can get to more turnovers. I thought when we had Kling on was interesting. He brought up Nick Bolton, how he felt like maybe the last week or two he hasn't been as impactful. That I hope we're not going to find out that's a more serious groin injury or something like that for Bolton, because that's what Kling was.
He's also missing more tackles and hasn't been covering as well. So I assume the groin injury is playing a factor here.
So then as you're like, okay, well, if it's something that just needs to heal up a little bit, this is where the number 1 seed becomes important. You can get that extra week in between, and
a big against. So some of these guys don't have to play a full game. They've had to take a lot of week 17s. Now I guess 18, coming up week 18, but. Well, it had been 17s, in fairness.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying, yeah.
They've gotten to take a lot of the final week of the season off. Bunch, right? Either they were locked into the 2 or they were locked into the 1. But they have taken a lot of those last games of the season, get some rest, time off. And at this point, they're not going to be fortunate enough to do this unless a team drops 2. They're going to have to play it to the bitter end if they want the number 1 seed. And you and I both know that week off would be more important than taking the week 18 off. So you gotta play. It's like this Texans game. I know you joked with Kling. You're like, we don't need to talk about the Texans.
We really don't. The Cook's not going to play.
I'm not
going to play.
I'm not going to break down the Texans roster for you. No, good God, nobody, just absolutely nobody wants that. But they playing them and getting some sense of where this team can still improve matters. We talked about that when said like we were talking about where the defense can prove to you that you can feel better about them. I think that can come in these final 4 games. They can step up against worst offenses. You got some bad teams left on the schedule. Mostly bad teams.
Maybe
average.
Maybe one playoff team.
Okay, you're at best 2 average teams, 2 bad teams.
Yeah.
That is the most optimistic way you can look at the last 4 games. Like if you're just you're being super kind, right? If you're being honest, you would say 2 awful teams, 2 of the top 5 picks in the NFL draft, if they had all their picks. The Broncos don't. Seattle, a team who's a fringe playoff team who's playing their absolute worst football of the year, and the Raiders, who might mail this thing in. Because after their loss last week, they have literally nothing left to play for, and they're coming off of the most gut-wrenching loss of the season that effectively ended it. Would you be surprised to find out that the Las Vegas Raiders put all their stuff in their suitcase, packed their bag, and called it a season? They have nothing left to play for, right?
We talk about that all the time. It's the fact that a lot of those guys still, as much as you're right, like they don't have anything to play for. But if you're someone that's a free agent the next year, like you're still right. You're still.
I'm not saying it affects everybody.
You're still motivated. I get what you're saying. Like if the Chiefs can get up big on them, then that's when it, I think, factors in more. But in general, going in, I mean, look at the Texans last week. As much as we're not going to talk about them as a whole, last week they really should have beat the Dallas Cowboys. They led that entire game. The Texans did, and they were a 4th and goal conversion from winning that game. They got stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Driscoll, I swear, I think he ran the wrong way on the play. And then the Cowboys marched down. For the Texans have been out of the playoff picture since week 2, basically. You know what I mean? Like, they were never in the picture.
Have they were eliminated, right? They were the first team eliminated from the postseason.
There's 3 teams or 4 teams officially eliminated, I think. And I think the Broncos, the Bears, the Texans are those teams. Maybe I'm missing somebody else.
The Broncos. Do you think in their wildest imagination, through 13 games, they'd have been kicked out?
What's that?
I said, do you think in 13 games they'd be eliminated? In the NFL, man, it normally takes, like, in baseball, it's the same way. We'll get to, like, September 20. You will get to, like, September 3rd, and you'll be like, wait, the Royals were just eliminated from the postseason? They've been, like, 30 games under 500. I'm like, yeah, but, I mean, there's always the win-out scenario. In the NFL, that's even more plausible, like, hypothetically. So it just takes a long time for people to get eliminated. And yet, the division's over, and this is over. And the division isn't technically over. The Chiefs could still lose out, and the Chargers could still win out, but it's over. What are the odds you would get on that?
For them not to win the division?
Yeah.
At one point, they took the divisional odds off the board. Like the Chiefs became such favorites to win the AFC West that
somebody might put $200,000 on it to win $10,000. Yeah.
The latest check for division. Let's see if it's back on the board. It is 41-1. If you think the Chargers can come back,
that's it.
$10 to win $410.
That's nowhere close.
If you think the Chargers somehow are going to win out,
10-leg parlay than that.
I don't even know why you're putting it out there. $100 will win you $4,100. The Chiefs are minus, what is that, 200,000?
200,000? Is that what you just said?
$10 will win 5 cents. Congrats. You can put.
What if I had like $1 million?
Well, how about let's just do 1,000? You put 1,000 on them to win $5, Cody. Congratulations.
What if I had like $1 million though? I want to know if I had $1 million, could I just get like 10, 15 grand?
The max wager is showing 50,000.
Okay. What if I had 50,000?
$250.
Oh my God, that's such a.
That's kind of how the math works.
Could you imagine? You're like, well, you just
want a free $250. Is what
yeah. And I got and apparently I can tie up $50K for only a week.
Well, yeah.
If the Chiefs beat the Texans this week, they've won the division.
And I think the Chargers have to lose again. I think the same scenario.
I only have to. I only have to tie up my money for a week. $250. I bet you'd like a free $250, wouldn't you?
Again, if this goes back to our earlier conversation about Mayweather only giving $1,000 to the kids when he's worth X amount. If you've got $50K just lying around to hold up for $250, I just don't think you're worried about the $250. Do you?
Don't stay rich on accident, do they?
$250?
Free money.
If you said you can make a bet for $50 and pretty much, quote unquote, in your mind, guarantee like winning $5,000 or $1,000, maybe $50K to tie up to win $250. What a dumb bet. What a dumb bet. That's all.
If you win it, it's not a dumb bet.
Oh, well.
It's factually, it's just true. It's just how it works.
Casinos love that mindset. Casinos love that mindset. Thanks to Jed Marshall filling in for Nick. He'll be producing for us for the next couple of shows as Nick is supposed to make his way to Germany. Feel bad for the guy. Flight to Germany canceled today.
He'll get there.
I
trust Nick.
I hope so.
He's got a plane, trains, and automobile. He'll find a way.
I guess so, man. Coming up tomorrow, we will have Charge give us the latest for fantasy football playoffs. Week 1 for a lot of people out there. Damian Hughes, former Chiefs wide receiver, will get his thought process on what the offense could look like with Tony and Harmon back in the picture. And maybe his thoughts as well on this Houston Texans team.
Yeah, we'll see.
Deep breakdown needed.